It says go live in the corner.
What's this?
All right, so we're live now, right?
We are live.
Okay.
Shalom, beautiful people, all around the four corners of God's green earth.
All right, can they hear you guys? This is a test. Can they hear you guys?
Yes. Please drop in the chat if you guys can hear us. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear us.
I want it to be full screen as it was.
Oh.
You can see it from
Oh yeah, we can see it on the screen. Okay.
So like a full screen.
So I need to log back in the stream.
All right, so they can hear us. All right, cool. So we're good.
Okay, cool. All right, perfect. Man, I tell you. All right. What's good, everybody? Welcome to our 40th episode of King. What's up?
All right.
What's up?
When I tell y'all we've had technical difficulties a day.
Hey, look.
Car trouble.
I've never blamed.
You name it.
I've never blamed anything on the devil in my life, but today.
You feel like he was working.
Today was working, man.
Yeah.
Flat tires, all type of stuff. Like,
But the Most High made a way.
He did.
He made a way.
For sure.
We're good, Lee?
So Ron, you can hear us, right?
Yeah, you might have to ask the audience in YouTube. Can they see you? Can they see you clearly, or is it fuzzy?
Okay.
Because it's
Okay.
I'm still
Now
now you guys are looking pixelated now to me.
Oh.
Okay.
You know what? It might be, Lee. It might be the issue. That cord. That's what it might be.
I'm going to capture him. Ask in the group chat in the YouTube live if you guys are clear. I can see you guys clearly.
But if I log in here, isn't it gonna?
No, it's fine. Because you're not on the stage.
As long as she's
Yeah,
on
they
the-
say we see. They say we see you.
We see you. Okay.
Yeah, they say we see.
Is it
you.
pixelated?
Yeah.
It's your feed is
important too.
freezing.
Is it?
You're freezing.
Yeah, okay.
You're like freezing up
And do you need to be?
every now and then it's pixelated.
Okay, so I mean, it's just
Is this what it's gonna be?
yeah, the
Move
connection
forward.
is just
Put on mute.
yeah. So
All right.
it is what it is.
Where you guys are not, where it's not showing.
All right. Well, they said so for some says it's not pixelated. For others, for one person, they said it's a little pixelated, a little blurry. But I mean,
Is there a way for him to be the main person on the screen instead of you guys that have the two screen? Is that what it's doing?
we
Yeah,
might be
we
trying
did
to figure
Yeah,
out
that's
too
for,
much.
for his video, I think.
Let's see. I'll do exit full screen. Just add. Well, let's see.
Some
When
no,
you go
yeah.
over his- when you
some-
hover
that-
over his-
yeah, we're good. We're good with the video. People, some are saying it's
Okay.
clear. Yeah.
Go to one where it says the one person icon right there. Click on that.
Okay.
Yeah, now you show just him.
Now it's like him.
Yeah, select him.
Or click resume.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, cool.
That's good.
Full screen.
All right, cool. Oh, perfect. That works better.
Okay. Cool. All
All
right.
right, let's intro.
All right. You can hear us, Ron?
Yeah.
All right, great. All right, welcome to our 40th episode of Kingdom Outkasts podcast. I am your host, Brandon Bashak. Here we have,
Hey everybody, it's Deja.
And I am your co-host, Elijah, also known as Eliyahu. It's a beautiful day.
yeah, he's way better at keeping.
It's a beautiful day. We are here, Kingdom
Yeah.
Outcasts, podcasting the truth of the way.
Yeah,
And y'all, we've got an extremely exciting episode. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be taking notes during. We've got a super special guest on the YouTube channel today, guys. We've got
Ron Dalton of Hebrews to Negroes documentary. So he's definitely in a little bit here. He's going to be telling us all about himself. and what he has going on. But just so you know, Ron, kind of how we get into it. We kind of talk about our week a little bit, but then we read a precept, like a verse or something that may have been in our heart for the week. We break down maybe one of the Hebrew words. Then we go into like current events and our main topic and such, and then from there. So, just walk through us. All right.
Okay.
So
we might have to give some time for delay.
Yeah, there's some lag, right?
Might be a
If
little-
we can hear you, thumbs up.
You can hear us, Ron?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a lag, but I can hear you. I can hear you.
Ron, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right,
Test,
so
test,
all right,
yeah.
so I guess we'll start with the preset, right?
Yeah, let's get into the precept.
All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to be coming from an apocryphal scripture. Okay, great. Okay, cool. So today we're going to be coming from an apocryphal scripture, right? Fourth Ezra, chapter 13, and I feel like this is very important, for the topic that we're talking about in the day, that.
Okay. Can you hear and see us now?
Yes,
Oh my
I
God.
can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Okay, so go back to him as the screen.
Oh, yep.
All right, so I'm gonna start with this precept, right? That I feel that fits everything that we're gonna be talking about today. But it's apocryphal, Fourth Ezra or Second Ezra 13, verse 25 to let's see, verse. Actually, what verse did I give you?
49 through 50.
Yeah, 49. All right, cool. Let me find it real quick. Just had it. All right, so, and where she saw he gathered another 39 at 39, all right? Fourth Ezra, Second Ezra 13, 39. And where she saw that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hushai the king, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land. But they took counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there land. These showed signs, held still the flood till they were passed over. To go, namely, a year and a half in the same region is called Azareth. Then dwelt they until the latter time, now when they shall begin to come. And the El Elyon shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through where you saw another multitude of peace. But those that be left behind of your people are they that are found within my borders. Now when he destroys the multitude of nations that are gathered together. And yeah, I feel like that's a very important verse, for today. I think it's self-explanatory why it was taken out of the original canon of the word. But yeah, how does that verse stick out to you guys?
I mean, I just
Unplug the HDMI.
Okay. That might be better. Y'all willing. Is it okay if we go two screen? So that both they can see both of us? All right, cool.
Yeah, you're good.
All right.
All right, what was the last thing you guys heard? Last thing you guys heard, so we know when it was cut out. What was the last thing you heard, Ron?
The end of the,
Y'all have read the scripture, and then you were getting ready to comment on it. I think that's what, and then I didn't hear anything.
Oh,
else.
to break it down. All right. So, all right, cool. So how? Got you. So yeah, now that's where we didn't really go on beyond that. But how does that verse stick out to you guys?
Like I was saying, this kind of just it reminds me of our topic today, and just kind of thinking about first off coming into the truth of who we are as a people group. Scattered to the four corners, and really how I was looking at verse 49 and how it says, now when he destroyeth the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he shall defend his people that remain. I think right now we are seeing a lot of like destruction happening to the multitude of nations that were involved in
Right.
all right. I think we're back.
A little closer.
Move the video closer.
The hotspot closer.
Oh yeah, try that.
Okay.
See, mobile's got to run me my money for sure because they're freaking up.
Right. But what do you got for I guess how
Destroyed the multitude of the nations that are gathered together. We're seeing just the nation slowly being destroyed. I think it's like we're seeing all these changes that Trump is doing and executing on all these orders, and it seems like just like craziness. But I think it's just all part of the destruction of Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that the Most High said in His Word that would happen, and also us awakening up. So this is a good verse that I see why they would have taken it out. But we see in Ezekiel and even in Jeremiah how it talks about how the people, like the nations, will be destroyed. So it's just like that further confirmation.
What about you?
Yeah, no, I do. I think this verse is a reminder of the truth and the reality that the Most High does have a people. And there's a misconception, I think, that in the Western church that God loves everyone, and then we're under this understanding that there are billions and billions of people on earth. So when you get to talking about destruction of a majority and the majority of people and only a few shall be saved, it's hard for us to wrap our mind around that because we've been conditioned to think that God loves everyone and there are billions and trillions of people on earth and He's gonna save the majority. That's not the case at all. So anything that is contrary to that, it tends to be what they shy away from in the Western church. They don't teach on it because we can't fathom the concept of billions of people not being considered as valuable to the Most High as far as worthy of saving.
Yeah.
What about you, Brother Ron? What do you get out of that passage?
The one about Azareth?
Yeah.
Well, are y'all reading out of the Apocrypha?
Yeah. So that was 4th Ezra 13.
I mean, I have a different take on Azareth, but I know people attribute that to America. You know, but I mean,
We want an honest take. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
what I think about the Book of Esdras.
Okay, go. I mean, go for another verse or whatever you have.
Because because I talk about this in I think one of my books, but um, first and second Esdras, which we will call the book of Nehemiah and Ezra, or Ezra and Nehemiah. We know about those books in the Bible, but when you look at the second Esdras, like the Esdras that we're reading about Azareth, it's not in the Old Testament. And so I have a problem with that, because I think that a lot of the books in the Apocrypha are written in Greek by the Greek people that either decide not to convert to Judaism, or they did. The ones that did, they're writing stuff down that we believe are things that are done by actual Israelites, when in fact it could be something that they coined that term. But I mean, because the only time you're going to hear that term Azareth is in the Apocrypha. You're not going to see it nowhere in the Dead Sea Scrolls, or in the Ethiopian canon Bible that the Ethiopians have, and you're not going to see it in the Hebrew Tanakh or the Hebrew Torah. So I know that a lot of the camps use that, but I just kind of I read a lot of stuff just to see what people are saying in the Book of Maccabees and other things of that nature, but I don't really use it when I'm trying to discuss biblical history. That's all. That's
No,
me.
I understand that.
Yeah.
No. Hey, look, and that's cool. I mean, and that just means it's something that for us to research and dig into a little bit different, a little bit more. I guess why the verse is interesting to me is because I guess when you look up on the term, or on the Jewish Encyclopedia, Christopher Columbus, on the Jewish Encyclopedia, said that Christopher Columbus looked at America as Azareth. Do you feel like that's accurate, or they have that information wrong on there?
Well, Christopher Columbus, he could call it Azareth, and it could be coined that term, but you know, how old is it? To me, I'm like, well, how old is that term, Azareth? And
Yeah.
what does it mean? And when did we first see the word Azareth used? Is it used in the Old Testament? Because we know that in the Old Testament that they had the Israelites that were spending a lot of time in Africa and maybe the Middle East, depending on if you believe that modern day Israel is in the Middle East, is in the Middle East or Africa. That term Azareth, if it's according to America, then the Israelites would have no clue of a land that is west of the longitudinal line of or the prime meridian, or wherever part of the western hemisphere that they believe or not believe existed any lands or people living in that area. So
Yeah.
when I look at the history of the Assyrian invasion and Babylonian invasion and where did they go, it's we know that they were exiled, the Northern Kingdom, but we don't. It doesn't say Azareth. It just says they were sent here, and it mentions cities and regions, and so that's why I always wonder how new of a term is Azareth, and if Christopher Columbus said this is where America was, and that was the term that the Gentile Jews used as the name for America, then when did they come up with that name? Was it like was it 1,000 years ago? Was it during the time that Christopher Columbus and these guys existed and lived, or is it something that's 2,000 years ago that the Greeks may have termed this land to the west if they explored that land 2,000 years ago.
Gotcha.
Which
Gotcha.
I don't
Okay.
think the Greeks had explored America 2,000 years ago to call it America or call it Azareth. And I don't know if how would they find out if the Hebrews went to America and called it Azareth, and then how did they relay that, hey, this land is called Azareth, we're over here living here, guys, and you guys need to know about this land. How did they exchange information? Because they didn't have a cell phone, they didn't have the internet, they didn't have email, and unless somebody got on a boat and came back to Africa or the Middle East or wherever to contact the other tribes and say, hey, we're over here in this land in the Western Hemisphere, and we call it Azareth. And then somebody decided to write it down in the text, and then the text is now in our lap, and we're using it. So I always question a lot of things when I read. I said my mind's always thinking. Yeah. But it could, I mean,
Yeah.
that could be what they called it back in those days. Just don't know when that term came about. Was it in the 1300s? Was it the 1200s? Was it the 1100s? Was it 1400s AD? We just don't know.
Gotcha. All right. Well, no, I appreciate your take on that, man.
You bring up a good point too, because it's like we know that they love to change terms,
Yeah,
and locations, and I mean just hijack stuff. So going to the deeper understanding of like a word and like when it really first started, that's really important, I think.
no, I understand
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Well, one thing I would like to do is we like to take one of the words out of what the scripture is and break down the Hebrew term or meaning. And look, there's definitely better sources to use than Strong's concordance, for these, but we're going to use Strong's concordance.
I use that too, so it's okay.
I use Strong's.
We use it all the time. We use it every week.
I was told by somebody was like, that's they was like, well, that's the beginners.
Oh, that's
like, hey man,
novice.
look, fam, come on, But I'm gonna use.
Eventually, we're gonna get to full sentences of Hebrew.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm pushing for that. I have been.
For sure. So we got Strong's concordance 6726.
And what's our word?
Zion.
Okay.
Zion or Sion, or Sayun, how it's pronounced here. And it says the word origin derived from an unused root meaning, quote, to be dry or parched. Corresponding Greek entry G64622, Sion, Sion, used in the New Testament to refer to Zion, maintaining its symbolic and spiritual significance. Usage in the Bible, Zion primarily refers to a specific hill in Jerusalem, which is the site of the ancient Jebusite city captured by King David. Over time, the term expanded to represent the entire city of Jerusalem, the dwelling place of God, and symbolically, the people of Israel. Zion is often used in a spiritual sense to denote the heavenly Jerusalem or ultimate dwelling place of God with his people. In cultural historical background, last part, Zion holds significantly cultural and religious importance in Jewish, Christian, or Hebrew, Christian, and Islamic traditions. In Jewish history is the location of the city of David in the Temple Mount, making it a central place of worship and pilgrimage. For Christians, Zion is a symbolic of God's eternal kingdom and his fulfillment of his promises. Historically, Zion has been a focal point of conflict and devotion, representing both physical and spiritual center of God's covenant and his people. And and that's beautiful. The person that comes to me is, again, what you saying they change names and places is I came across a map on davidrumsey.com. And this specific map was created in 1737, and it shows where Mount Kenya is today as a Mount Sion, or Sion. And it's interesting because just knowing the history and traditions of the Kikuyu people, who I attribute my dad's side of family to, and how their tradition, what they say of their family, is interesting that you see Mount Sion as Mount Kirinyaga or Mount Kenya. But that's all I got. Which I got.
As far as the word Zion, the first definition you gave unrelated to the name Zion, it said something about
Like-
drying out.
Yeah.
That is interesting. I wonder why that was the word of choice in naming the
To
location.
be dry or parched.
To be dry or
Word,
parched,
or
yeah.
it says derived from an unused root.
Uh-huh.
The root is saya,
Mhm.
and saya is 6723.
So do you
But
think that
dryness,
really
dry land, desert, wasteland. Yeah.
signify the climate of the area, naming of the mountain that has to do with the climate?
I'm not sure. Honestly, it's something to study more for me.
Mm.
Which is,
I mean, when I listen to your definitions, my mind just kind of went to Psalms 2,
Yeah.
where it talks about first, like how the Most High set his king on the holy Mount of Zion. And I was just reminded of that. And then, like, I was looking, I was like, earlier on, it says, why did the heathen rage? And people imagine a vain thing. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together. Like, they're all trying to connive and to work on this deception and plan. And I think we see it, I think it's in Psalms 81, 2 or 83, where it talks further on the deception of stealing the identity of the true Israelites. But I just think about how they all just work together and they try and rename. And we look at the state over there called Israel and how it just does not line up with
right.
where what throughout the Old Testament, the description of the beautiful land that the Most High gives the Israelites, it just doesn't match the description. So
Yeah.
I think of that, and then I think about it to the sense of like the spiritual sense you mentioned, like Yahshua. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he is
the living water.
the living water, the Lion of Judah, and King of Zion. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
sure.
I just kind of take it back to that. But
Yeah.
Ron, what about you?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Go ahead.
Early in that verse that I read, which it talks about Yeshua, or the Son, descending on Mount Zion when he comes back, and he'd be standing on top of it. But
Yeah,
what do you get from when you hear Zion and how it's used?
Well, in the Kikongo language, in the DRC, the word to Zion, I think it's TSY. I think it's a double Y, TSIYYON, something like that. It means my land. In the Kikongo language, it means my land. In the Kikongo language, Hebrew is Ivri. Like IVRI or IVRI. In the Kikongo language, this is the language in the Congo, and so they have their own idea of where the Mount Zion is, because Mount Zion is the highest mountain in Israel. It's the highest of the mountains. And in Psalms 125, 1 and 2, it says the Mount Zion cannot be removed. It cannot go away. It cannot shrink. And it says that Mount Zion is surrounded. Well, Jerusalem is surrounded by mountains. And in that territory where we would see Jerusalem, we would also see Mount Zion, because it's a high mountain. And if Jerusalem is surrounded by mountains, like a circuit, then, like you said earlier, you should see a very, very high mountain in Jerusalem, in the city of David. And when you go to Israel, you don't see that. If you are in Jerusalem and you say, hey, I want to go to Mount Zion, they're gonna say, okay, walk with me. And you're gonna just be walking, and then you're gonna walk through some corridors. They're gonna say, this is Mount Zion. You're like, what?
Anticlimactic.
It's invisible, don't you?
Hey, and it snows on top of Mount Kirinyaga,
Yeah, you don't need no backpack. You don't need no guide. You don't need no water bottle. You don't need no stick. You don't need to take a 1-day trip to get to the top of the mountain, because there is no Mount Zion. There actually is no mountain in Jerusalem that you can look up and say, oh, that's Mount Zion. It's glorious, holy Mount Zion. You look it up at the sky. No, there's no mountain named Mount Zion. And that's a problem, because all these other mountains in Israel are high. They got like Mount Scopus, Mount Hermon, Mount this and Mount that, and these mountains are higher than the so-called Mount Zion, which is a place. It's like a place.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what is going on here? And I just, when I started researching a lot of these things, I said, man, this is so wrong. I don't understand why the Bible will say that it is a high mountain. It's a holy mountain. It's the highest of the mountains. It's glorious in its height. Like it's glory. Like looking at it, it's so high that you just see the glory of the height of this magnificent mountain. But then when you go to Israel, they're like, this Mount Zion right here. It's like, what? If that's the case, then there are a lot of countries. Nairobi is Mount Nairobi. Johannesburg is Mount Johannesburg. Kigali, Kampala, Kinshasa, all these countries that sit at a high elevation point. Do you need to call these countries or cities mountains? Mount Nairobi. They don't do that because Israel has labeled what they call, I guess, high elevation cities to them. They call these mountains Mount Olives. Mount Olives is not a mountain. Even Mount Megiddo is not a mountain. It's a place. So I don't know why they call it a mountain when it's not a mountain, because there's a Hebrew word for mountain, there's a Hebrew word for hill. I think it's Geba. And so this, well, Zion is like the city. It kind of terms the Israelites, the place where God dwells with his people, and then of course the mountain.
It's funny you say that. It kind of goes the same for pyramids, right?
Uh-huh.
If you look up mounds, right, they'll name pyramids mounds, so you won't know it's like pyramids. One of our comments by Yah says Mount Kenya is approximately 10 miles from the equatorial line, the center of the navel of the earth. And then he said the Akakuyu says Ngayu dwells on Mount Kenya, and that's one of the things I learned about Akakuyu as well. They're Ninwega or Inyaga is how they call their god, and he dwells on top of Mount Kirinyaga.
Mm-hmm.
And their doors of their huts of the traditionals that live around it, they still face the mountain as well. And so when you look at their god, there's similarities to the Israelite god as well.
Yeah, we had gone to Kenya in October.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, we did not get the opportunity to climb that mountain.
Yeah.
Brandon was pushing us for it, but
it was my second time because again, the Kikuyus who I attribute my family to, given research of my last name, my DNA, and the third time though, we're doing Mount Kenya, okay?
It's going to happen.
But I think we should
get to the main topic.
Yeah. So Brother Ron, we want you to introduce yourself to the people, who you are. Everybody knows about or knows of, say, your documentary, but express who you are and what you're about, to the people.
Well, before I got into Hebrews to Negroes, I worked as a physician assistant in the hospital in Detroit for a while, and then while I was working as a PA in the hospital, that's when I kind of woke up to the truth. And my dad's a pastor, a Pentecostal pastor, and so I have 9 kids all together. I have a wife, and I just, like many people, growing up in the Christian church, I had a lot of questions and things were not adding up when I was reading the Bible. And then when I stumbled upon Deuteronomy 28, then I said, this doesn't sound like the Jews today. So something's not right here. And nobody wanted to elaborate or talk about Deuteronomy 28. And because this is the curses of Israel, and they did break the law. They did transgress the law. It says it in the book of Daniel. So I said, according to the Bible, the people that are the true Israelites today should be going through the curses, and the curses didn't line up with the Jews that I've seen in Michigan. And so that's when I started to study and ask the Most High to lead me in my studies. And then one thing led to another, and then the book was born, and then the movie came after that. And then in 2022, when Kyrie did what he did, and more people because of him found out about the book and the movie, and then found out who they are as their identity and their ethnicity and pedigree. And so so here we are, and I've been doing a lot of things since 2000 and like early 2000, like 2000. I can't remember when I published the first book, but the movie was made in 2018, and since then, I got h2mtv.com as a way for me to still share my information when YouTube was doing a lot of censoring and banning and community guideline strikes and all this crazy stuff. So I don't have time for that. So I just went ahead and started h2mtv.com so that I can freely make content and put it on there without having to worry about what's going to happen if YouTube doesn't like it. So that's it. Basically, I'm a family man, and I like to study, and I like to bring forth truth to the people in the world, because we deserve the truth. And a lot of times we get a lot of teachers that are teaching us things that are not really the truth, because they just have these feelings and biases and agendas that they want to promote certain things in their teachings that they want us to believe, and we believe it because they're in a leadership position. But I come on the other flip side and say we need to fact check everything. We need to do our due diligence when we research, so that we can come to a better understanding of these things. And this is why in the last 3 years I've been really on the Africa piece, the research and going to Africa, because there's a lot of connections to our Israelite heritage, but it's in Africa. You cannot really see it and experience it and know a lot of these secret things unless you're in the continent and you're talking to the locals and you're seeing what they have to say, and it ties in to the Bible, because the Bible is about them, about us.
Yeah, and it's dope you said that, because again, we went to Kenya back in October. It was my second time going, and Deja was kind of annoyed of it, but I was asking everybody we came across mad questions. So how'd you grow up? What's your traditions like? What do you think it is? What do you think of that? And they would tell us about whether our drivers or certain people we meet, their upbringings. Like one guy, said they would run to school every day, and that's why Kenya has some of the best athletes, in the world. Just all different type of situations. And in my personal studies, studying the Bantus, Kikuyu specifically, you can see how in their language, Kikuyu means sycamore fig tree. They still hold the mugomo tree sacred, which is a fig tree themselves, and they're very plenteous. Genesis 49 says about Asher, his bread shall be shall yield royal dainty. And in Deuteronomy 33, Asher was blessed to be a warrior's tribe of Yasharon, and is known that the Kikuyu people freed the other 42 tribes of the European colonialism, and then they termed the coin Hakuna Matata, which king is at peace, no worries. And then we know Walt Disney took that, and so when you really do study the tribes and their traditions, the slaughtering of the goats, 3 goats as you get older into, your wise years, you can see these traditions seeped all into them and how it lines with the Israelites in the Bible.
Yeah. You bring up a good point. I think this is my first time going to the continent of Africa, and I'm like, man, I want that to be my favorite destination spot, and keep going back there. But When we were there was just so much love amongst the people. Like they were so open, and they wanted to get to know about us. We wanted to get to know a lot about them as well. And it was really just a blessing. And they were just so open. And the one thing that kind of like took me back, being here in America and wearing camo right now, was that like no one had guns over there. Like, and there was like literally no need for that, you know. And it's just a total different switch in comparison to here from America. But Ron, thank you for sharing that information about yourself. And I want to thank you for just being a vessel for the Most High's use with putting together the Hebrews to Negroes documentary. I know, like, as I was coming into the truth, first off, I think, like, you know, I was like, all right, I'm gonna read the word, and I started reading it, and then I got to Deuteronomy 28 as well, and then I saw Stephen Darby's message, "Who are we?" And then they jacked us, and then that kind of sent me on a deeper of a rabbit hole. And I believe it was in 21, which was after your documentary came out. But then when I watched your documentary and just the thoroughness that you put into like putting it together, it was such a blessing, and it helped me like better formulate my understanding of the Most High's word as well as my identity. So I'm appreciative of that. Thank you.
No, for sure.
Thank you. And then also I'm just gonna do a quick commercial here because I think it's time. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe to the Kingdom Outkasts podcast, as well as make sure you guys subscribe to the h2ntv.com website, because listen, there's so much content on there and understanding and just thorough research when you read it. And Ron is really, I think, the most, like you said, the most shadow banned person on the internet. Like,
oh man,
it's ridiculous how much
YouTube
like,
gone, TikTok gone. Like, goodness great. We're still trying to know how to talk to not get our YouTube shadow banned, to be honest.
Yeah, but they're just like, we read your Wikipedia page, and they were just so disrespectful.
It was slanderous, almost slanderous. It was so biased. I've honestly never seen that level of bias on Wikipedia. And in most cases, Wikipedia will say, one side believes this, one side believes this, here are the facts. And this is non-biased because this is editor reviewed or peer reviewed, and many people have input opinions. But when it comes to your Wikipedia page, it goes straight into, these things are not true. These things have been debunked. By the way, this is not true. This is the worst documentary, not even worth watching. Like, it is ridiculous the way that they address their work online.
But the thing, when you go to Amazon and you Google the Hebrews to Negroes books, it's 4.8 out of 5 stars, and it's been like that for a long time. So anybody can say, well, dang, like it's almost 5 stars here on the movie and the book. So who's the ones that edited the Wikipedia page? And we know who it is. It ain't black people. It ain't black people that edited that page.
Yeah.
I remember doing my research when everything was going on with, Kyrie back then. And, I saw, the numbers show that this is actually the most watched thing on Amazon, right now at the time, And I watched the documentary, and I, took, I like to jot down research and resources on everything I watch. It was your documentary. Then there was a reclaiming the throne by Hebrew Nation building. I watched. And that's why I, came across William Brown of Boom Church, and then of course eventually coming across Pastor Omar Thebu of School of Church of Philadelphia School of Hebrews, and you were definitely one of those people with information that kind of helped me come into the truth, because the way I came into it is I just researched my last name. My last name is Mashak, Mashhack. Looked it up, names.org. Oh, it's Hebrew. Okay, the Kikuyu people are the main people that attribute that name to them on that site. Then I looked up family search, tried to find a Meshach plantation. Couldn't find anything, but found a whole bunch of Meshachs and Meshekis migrating from Africa to Europe to the Americas. And I decided to do DNA. Okay, I don't really trust 23andMe all the way, so let me download the raw data up close across multiple sites. Still goes back to that. Okay, haplogroup E1B1A. Oh, this is Jacob. And so, to even find out my last name means Christ, Messiah, anointed, smeared paint. And then the Kikuyu, that's how I came into it, through straight research and studying personally. And then I came across this book. The Kikuyu actually wrote this, Kikuyu Mystery Revealed, Descendants of Asher, a Lost Tribe of Israel. actually written by the Kikuyu people themselves. And so, it just went for me from there.
Yeah.
I
think we got a comment here, and it's kind of like in regards to kind of our main topic, discovering the hidden truths of the Hebrew people. It says, are Black Americans excluded from the true knowledge? I don't think so, but I think you have to realize that the media is not going to put out the reality of it. You're going to have to go and find it.
Where is it? You said our
Right
Black Americans. And also America is probably the most censored country in the world. Americans, we have a perception about something happening in the world versus the entire world has completely different perception.
Yeah.
Just because there's a lot of media propaganda that we get that other countries don't get as much as us. But yeah, I remember our first dialogue, Brother Rana. It was some months ago, maybe middle of the year, and you had said something. I replied to it. And I was like, oh, yeah, Kikuyu, you asked me, oh, do you speak, the language? And I'm like, oh, I'm learning. And you was like, yeah, the Kikuyu are a mix of Asher and Judah. So I guess you already been through your research of those people specifically. I'm curious to some of your findings, since I feel like those are my people.
Well, I know some Kikuyu people, and they said the same thing. And then, a lot of the tribes that are there, like the Abugusi, the Akamba, the Maru, the Luya. I know some people that are part of those tribes too, and then they'll usually tell me about the Kikuyus and what they know about the Kikuyus, because they're all Bantu at the end of the day, and they have their own stories on how they got there and who they're related to, and so there's just, you have your East African Bantu, your Central Africans, you got your South Africans, and you have your West Africans, but they don't really use the word Bantu, but they have the same DNA. And I just look at Sub-Saharan Africa as the land of the Bantu people, and they're connected to the Israelites. They are the Israelites. And we can learn a lot from all of the tribes that are there, because they all have interesting stories and words and meanings for different things, and even the Luau, right, in Kenya, they have a branch of Luau's that actually have E1B1A, and they say that they are descendants of the Israelites, and they talk about the mixed multitude, and how they left Egypt and migrated south, and how they were in Sudan, they were in Egypt, and then they left with the Exodus, and then scattered at different now they're in different areas. The Luau people and their descendants, including the Bantu people that went with them during the Exodus. So there's a lot of rich history that you can find in Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Congo. So that book, I'm sure, has a lot of good things in it, because there's a lot of books by authors that are locals that know the connection that their tribe has to the Israelites. And when you read what they have to say, it's a lot of information, and it makes you appreciate that they actually took the time to learn this, to study it, to write it in a book, because we don't see all these things from over here in America. When we look at the internet, or when we listen to a camp teaching, they're not going to teach on the Kikuyus. They're not going to do that, most likely, unless they're looking at Africa now with a different lens.
It's funny you say that. How not going to teach on it, because one thing I've been hearing is that certain camps, I'm not going to name, drop,
Thank you.
but
Thank you.
are literally in Africa, right now, are trying to, I guess, get in good or teach or learn whatever is going on. But there's a specific, the biggest and most known camp is out there heavy, as if, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting, because on that 12 tribes chart, you don't see Africa listed. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay.
I could talk on that. I could speak on it. and you don't have to say anything. I can take all the heat, but yeah. So these camps, they know who they are, and they know who I am, and when you see IUIC, and I mean they're some of the main ones that are going into different countries like Ghana and Liberia and Kenya and Nigeria, South Africa, Uganda. I say, guys, you know what? A couple of years ago, you were saying they were all Hamites, and you were saying that Ron Dalton is crazy. He don't know what he's talking about. He's trying to include the Hamites as Israelites. How dare he do that? But you guys, you guys want to include everybody in the Western Hemisphere as Israelites. So basically everybody, North America, Central America, South America, the Caribbean, there's nothing but Israelites all day long. Israelites. If you're not white and you're on the Western Hemisphere, you're an Israelite because you're an Indian, a Native American Indian, or you're a Latino, Hispanic, or you're a Negro. And they have their chart for that because all the countries in South America are on the chart. Same thing with the Caribbean and America. They're on the 12 tribes chart, but you don't see, like you said, a 12 tribes chart for Africa. And you've been there in Africa, and when you go to Africa and you have this chart, do you think they care about the chart of South America? They want to know that are they the Israelites? And if you're telling them they're the Israelites, then how come they're not on the chart? How come they don't have a chart? And then a lot of times they teach, different things depending on who they're interviewing or who's interviewing them. So they'll be in South Africa and they'll say that all Black people in Africa are Israelites. Then they'll say another video, they'll say, well, the Nilots are the only ones that are not Israelites, and everybody else are the Israelites, and the Hausa's are the Israelites. They're the priests. And I'm like, and then they go to Nigeria and say, everybody is the Israelites here. All Black people in Nigeria are the Israelites. And yeah, they say these things, and nobody's there that's interviewing them to contest them, to ask them questions. Well, can you give us some proof? Can you talk about these different tribes in Africa? How do you know that they're Israelites? Can you give us some proof? Have you done some research on the Zulu and the Xhosa and the Sotho and the Pedi and the Swana and the Venda? Have you done some proof? Have you studied? Other than the Lemba, because everybody studies the Lemba. What about anybody else? What do you have to say about that? And it's like, to me, it's like, if you can't beat them, join them. And it's like, at some point, when you see a lot of people are trying to leave America and go to Africa, either to visit or to stay, and they're connecting themselves to the Israelites, then it's like at some point, the Israelite leaders in camps, they have to decide. A lot of the Israelites are moving in this Africa direction. So do I either keep fighting against them, or do I join in with them because there's money to be made, followers to be got if I start going to Africa along with Ron Dalton and others, and I start doing the same thing that he's doing. I'm gonna start getting on the same platforms that he's on. I'm gonna start talking about Africa this and Africa that. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna necessarily tell all my followers that we need to leave America and come to Africa. I'm not gonna tell them that the true land of Canaan is in sub-Saharan Africa. I'm not gonna tell them that. I'm gonna keep telling everybody in Africa that you are the Israelites, and we're here to wake up the 12 tribes. But our homeland is in the Middle East, up there where all the fighting is going on. That's our homeland.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem comes. Yeah, that's the problem, because then you're telling them, people living in a fertile land, they can farm and plant and harvest all year round. You're telling them that this good land you're on right now, that we need to leave this big land and go up there to the Middle East, and it's the desert, and they're fighting. It doesn't make any sense, because they're like, well, wait a minute, how is that our land and it's the glory of all the lands. It's our homeland, but we're here. And according to a lot of our history, we came here from the north, and we've always been here, keeping our traditions and customs. And they're telling you they're telling you partly what you want to hear, but then the other part, they're telling you what you don't want to hear, or you're not understanding, because he's like, with the 12 tribes chart, you show me this chart. I don't see the Kikuyu tribe on here, and it says Asher. I see Asher for somebody else. So how is this person that's labeled as Asher connected to me? That's the problem that they're gonna run into, because you start naming off tribes. Gad is the Native American Indians, and then you say the Igbos are Gad. Wait a minute, the Igbos are like, well, we're Gad and they're Gad. How's that look? How's that happening? So there's a lot of things they need to explain, and they're not going to do that. I think you guys got cut out for a second.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
right. We're
Oh
back.
yeah. Okay.
But we last thing we heard is I remember you saying Asher and this and that. But
Yeah, if they say Asher is I forgot what country is Asher, but
I think it was Brazil or something. I think
yes.
Yeah.
So then if they go to Kenya, and then they have the 12 tribes chart in Kenya, and the Kikuyu see it, and they say Asher is Brazil, and they say, well, we're Asher. What are they going to say there? Oh yeah, you are Asher, and let me add you in the chart. But are they going to add? They're not adding nobody on that chart, because I haven't seen a new chart.
So let me ask you something, Brother Ron. Right now, one thing I did is of course, I didn't really believe that chart all the way, but I did research heavily into their claims on each, and what you find is that what I found personally is that okay, there's some half truths here. Here's the thing: is if there are places where the tribes scattered to across the world, well, you can't say a whole country belongs to that one tribe, like all Brazil.
Exactly.
There's going to be a mix. Now there could be a higher volume of them there, right? Because what I've come to find is Mexicans, right? You'll Origin of American Indians by Lee Hudson. It says that the Mexican Indians attribute their ancestors to Issachar, right? You have Jamaicans that might say, Benjamin and Judah, right? And even in your documentary, I know you touched lightly on some of the natives, being here, having connections to Israel. So to touch on that a little bit, how, I guess maybe you found them, sprinkled throughout, maybe in the Latin America, and then I guess some of the natives. What's your perspective on that?
So like I say all the time, they need to get rid of that chart, because we have to look at it as, we know that America is an island, and people, the indigenous Indians, not the white people, but people that were at that time in North America that were dark skinned people. They may not have had Negro hair like afros and the same type of phenotype as Africans, but they were melanated people that existed in America, in North America, and in Central America. So we have to ask ourselves: are they Hamites? Are they Shemites? Or are they the children of Japhet? And when you do the research, there is a lot of stunning evidence that connects them to a Hebrew origin. The only thing that I have a problem with the camps is that, like, they label a whole country a tribe, and then they connect all Latinos, all Hispanics, when we know that a lot of them have more Spanish ancestry than they do Native American Indian ancestry. Now, the thing about Black people in America is that most of us, our DNA is 70, 80, 90%, maybe even 100% or 99% sub-Saharan African ancestry. So they can't tell us that the majority of your DNA is European, because it's not. Our DNA test proves that. But when you look at a lot of the Europeans that came to the Americas, especially Spanish America, there is evidence that a lot of Spaniards and Portuguese people came. They came to the Americas and they settled there, and they didn't like. They made it a point to breed out the Native American Indians. So they were purposely having children with the natives so that they can whiten them out. Same thing they tried to do in Australia. And in those days, you could do that by killing a lot of the males and then taking the women for your wife or for whatever. And this is why in a lot of Latinos, you'll see that the majority of the time that you'll see any indigenous Indian DNA is on the mother's side. But on the father's side, you're going to see the DNA that connects back to a Spanish man. And obviously, they're a lot lighter than what the Native American Indians look like. And they're a lot shorter than what the Native Americans look like. They know that the Native American Indians were typically darker, taller, and they looked a little bit different. And now the Latinos today are a little bit more lighter, more whiter, speaking the colonial language of the Spanish. So the camps, they just they don't really get detailed in the research. They just slap that chart together and they shove it down your throat. And when they go to Africa, they still have that same chart. Because when I went to South Africa and met some guys, and I asked them who you follow, and they said IUIC. And one of the guys showed me the chart. And I said that chart has nothing. That chart is meaningless out here in Africa, because I said the Zulu tribe are you guys on the chart here? And they said no. I said, why do you care about this chart? I said, come on, guys. Like why are we caring about what's going on in Argentina and Bolivia when we're here in South Africa? And I'm trying to wake up and show the movie here, and you're here in support, and you want more of your people here to understand that we are the Israelites. But you can't be trying to reach your brothers and sisters in South Africa, Black Africa, and you got this chart. You're holding the chart, and you're like, hey, yeah, this is Asher, this is this card, this is Zebulon, this. People are like, well, wait a minute, we're in Africa. Where's our tribe on this chart? And the camps don't do that. And the day that they come up with a 12 tribes chart for Africa, I want to be there to see that, because I don't think they're ever going to do that.
That would be difficult to that would be difficult to combine.
Yeah,
I want to switch directions a little bit and ask you a question related to our experience in America with white people. So we know what it looks like for our people to wake up, for African Americans, Black Americans to come to the knowledge of who they are. And most of us are already Christian. So we're coming into a familiar space because we were already raised on the word, we were raised on the scriptures. So when we're waking up, the first things we're going to do is most likely start to review the holidays that we're celebrating. We're going to start trying to change our diets to align with the word. That's the way that our waking up looks like. And we're going to resonate with the word as is very personal to us. The characters in these stories are who we are. What does it look like for white people in America to wake up? If they're waking up and they really want to serve the Most High and in spirit and in truth, and they're in Christianity, what does that look like for them? I know they're not going to grab fringes, like they're not going to become Ak, like they're going to want to be in the truth. They're going to recognize who we are. How do they play into the story?
I think they need to, just like the old days, the Gentiles could cleave to Israel. They could observe the feast days. They could follow the laws, which is a good thing for anybody. But they have to understand that we are the children of Israel, and that means something. And that if you are Caucasian in America and you see, in your city, town, state, the things that are happening to us, and you see an Israelite group or assembly or camp, and you align with their teachings and their beliefs, then if you have the means, you need to support them, and you need to tell others that may think like you, because they believe in what you're saying as a white man or white couple. Hey, it's the right thing to do, and it's our duty to support and bless the children of Israel any way we can. And if that means helping pass out flyers to get people to get materials or websites or movies or books that they can learn more and spread the word or the truth to other white people or white churches or white families, they needed to do that, because at the end of the day, we need the truth to spread to all nations, and the Gentiles, in the last days, they're gonna recognize that the Most High, is the Lord, is Yahuwah, and they're gonna understand that we are His favored, the chosen people, the apple of His eye, and that He's going to restore us back to where He said He was going to do. And the Gentiles need to understand the prophecies and see how they can fit in to helping that. And so the Gentiles that I know, that know who we are, they are always willing to help and assist in helping me or any others that they believe strongly in. They don't have to believe in all the camps, but just all the camps don't believe that the Gentiles can be saved, and that they're not Edomites. But those that follow me, they know that I don't speak that rhetoric and that hate talk that a lot of the camps do. And so a lot of the Gentiles that follow me and they wake up to the truth through the books or the movies or YouTube, they have asked, how can we assist? How can we help you? And we have been spreading the word to other families, and we have our own study groups that we have, and we're letting people know that you guys are the Israelites and different things. So that's how they really can be an impact into what is going on in America, and then also what is going on in Africa, because it's even in Africa that the white Christians in Africa, they need to know who we are. And once they know who we are, then they should be convicted to not see us as a lesser human being or a slave, or we're just the colonized people and we don't know how to govern ourselves and we need to rule over you. No, now you need to see us as the children of Israel, and you need to support. You need to stop trying to exploit and use us and treat us unfairly, treat us badly, oppress us. You need to uplift the Israelites. You need to do all that you can in your power to help us, because at the end of the day, that's what the Most High wants. And if you are a loving Christian and you love God, then you're going to do that. Because what do they say? Those Jews say, if you bless Israel, God will bless you. They say that all the time. I used to hear it to Jews when I used to work at the hospital, and I used to come inside the room, and it would be a Jewish family and an old Jewish man or woman, like their grandmother, grandfather, and they would say, "Oh, you're treating him so nice. He said so many good things about you, and you know that if you bless a Jew, you treat him nice, that God's gonna bless you. That God bless you, Hashem's gonna bless you." Yeah, they say that. They actually say that. They used to tell me all the time, "Be nice to my father, be nice to my grandmother," because the Bible tells you in Christianity that if you bless us, we'll bless you. You bless our people, then Yah Hashem is going to bless you. And they say these, and I'm like, all right, whatever.
It's funny. It reminds us, we just went to the Jesus exhibit here in Atlanta last week, and completely washed, but they apparently have all these artifacts from ancient Israel there. And at the end of the exhibit, they have this prayer tree where you're supposed to send a prayer, to Israel, as if that's going to do something. But, we know we know what it looks like, to have European friends who knows who we are, I definitely, have a couple, and one of them, rolls with us and sometimes comes to our church. He actually, on my Instagram, I have one of the my pinned videos. This was a night where a bunch of my homies that I grew up with, one of them was getting married. And I was, I had my friends on, my menorah earring. And I was, I said a little bit something about who we are at one point. And, you can tell when it goes in one ear out the other. And two white guys out of nowhere. One, hey, man, I can tell you're a person who's very strong who you are. Don't ever be ashamed of who you are, blah, blah, blah. Keep, saying what you're saying. And I'm like, oh, that was random. And another real drunk dude comes up to me. Hey, man, do you know who you are, man? You're an Israelite, and y'all are coming out the Deuteronomy curses and this and that. Yeah, this is on my pinned video, right? And he's like, oh yeah, man, I got the fringe of the menorah. He was like, oh, and he was like all excited in front of my homies. It was like the Most High was bringing these people.
I've seen that video. I've seen that.
You saw that, right?
Yeah. And I asked this because I think that while we're doing the work of wanting to wake up Yasharal, the largest untapped market in the U.S., I think, is going to be the white Christian church. We have mega churches with, thousands and millions of well-intending, in my opinion, well-intending white Americans who love the Lord. They love the Lord and they know the word. They were raised on it for generations to come. And I feel like they're just basically a large untapped market of individuals who are going to aid in our waking up in the future.
I think if they can, especially the white Americans here in the States, if they can remove any sorts of hate, racism that they have, that they can definitely be acknowledging of us being the children of Yasharal and being able to help us financially or even just spiritually and just loving, I have so many Gentiles that I'm friends with and I love them to death, but I don't know if they'd be I don't know how accepting they would be of the truth.
Right.
Just being real, they might be like, okay, yeah, I acknowledge you. Yeah. Others, I'm like, especially moving from the Midwest to down south now, I'm like, oh, it's a little bit different vibes down here.
They would be ready to really actually debate that these facts are not.
I was just gonna say, it's funny we have a comment here, right, where somebody says, in the body of Christ, does race even matter? And for one, I would say race doesn't even exist. It's more about, nationality. That's what the Bible categorizes us. Race is a created construct about skin color, right? And I would say this, if you're going to understand end time prophecy, you have to know who Israel is, because end time prophecy is centered around what's going on with the Israelites, when you read it. And also knowing who you are lets you know what is your role in the end times as well. I know for me, the more I studied about, and find out who I am, I understand as a tribe of Asher, what is my role in the body? Right. No, I don't have to, try to do everything and do this, but I understand more of why I am the way I am. Yeah. Why do I do the things that I do? Why am I interested in the things I am? And it helps me understand my role, what I'm supposed to do. And that's just all it is. If you know who you are and who the Bible identifies you as, then you know what your role in the body is and where you fall. But what was your question?
Oh, yeah. So kind of in the same lane of Deja's question, I appreciate you mentioning that, because I think in the body of Christ, the salvation doesn't matter, but for historical accounts and purposes, we need to know who people are. Even Yahshua, being dark skinned. We read from Josephus and how he mentioned dark skin, short stature. Oh yeah,
black skin, short, curly hair, line in the middle of his head in the fashion of Nazarenes. Yeah, and he said he was 3 cubits, but whatever it was, it came out to 4'5".
Yeah,
but.
So salvation is the most important thing, spiritually being saved, but for historical purposes and the truth, we gotta, call a spade a spade. Yeah. My question.
No leaven.
Right.
Yeah.
My question was kind of in the same lane as Deja's, but it's, I think this is how I kind of realize how, Negroes here in the States where Israelites is being so stiff-necked. And, with that being the case, Ron, my question to you is, what do you think is the best way to share about us being the Most High chosen people to other Negroes here in the United States? is it best to show them Bible verses and like, Deuteronomy 28 or other examples, or is it best to go to like historical references, or, what have you found, I guess, is the best way to share about us being the people?
And to put on top of that question, what has been your different experience on trying to share this with people in the motherland versus Black Americans?
You can give them scriptures if if they have the time to sit down and listen, and then dialogue with you and ask questions, or you expound on the scripture that you're reading. If they don't have the time, which a lot of people that's Black, they're working, they're only going to talk to you for a hot second. What I used to do is, when I was in America, I used to just give them a flyer, and the flyer it had the Hebrews to Negroes wake up Black America, and they'll look at it and they'll say, "What is this about?" And I said, "We are the Israelites." I said, "Check out the books and the movies, and then hit me up if you have any questions." And usually they might take it home, order the book, order the movie, and then they get blown away. And so because they're not, a lot of times they're not going to just go home and then read Deuteronomy 28, 68 because you told them to. They're not going to read Solomon, I am dark and comely, and the gates of, they're not going to read all these scriptures, and look at Bible verses and try to connect it to Black people. They're just not going to do that. But if you give them something that they're used to doing, is looking at TV or looking at their phone, then they'll do that, and then it'll capture their attention, and it'll entertain their eyes and their ears. Because in the movie you got music, you got imagery, you got speaking, and that kind of keeps them captivated, because a lot of Black people are not going to just sit home and then just ponder on what you said by going into the bedroom and getting the Bible and then sitting down and reading it. They ain't gonna do that in this age. They want to be on a laptop, on a phone, in front of a TV. And I just say, here, it's a movie. You need to check it out. It's good. It'll prove who we are. And they say, okay, all right, I'm gonna check it out when I get home tonight with my wife. and a lot of them wake up that way. And that's kind of how I noticed people waking up when Kyrie did what he did. They had no clue who they was in identity wise in the Bible until Kyrie did what he did, and they said, "Man, after I seen the movie that Kyrie shared, now I'm a believer. I know who I am." So movies, media does work when people don't have the time or the patience to read a book, unfortunately.
I think that's just how we've been programmed as well too, with just social media and television. We're programmed to really kind of want the entertainment aspect, to get it, versus, kind of, our spirit aren't necessarily as strong as our ancestors. You know what I mean? And one thing, it's funny because, my dad's a pastor as well. He pastors a church in Fort Lauderdale, grew up non-denomination. And I was the bad PK, got into fights, got in trouble. I wasn't listening to the word. I was falling asleep in church, all of that. And it was around 2019 where I decided, you know what, I'm gonna read the entire Bible from front to back. And then let's just say in November of 2019, it was the last experience I ever had at my Christian church I went to. Most High told me to leave and study him for myself. And, I personally came in through the research of knowledge, right? Looking into my family history. Oh, no wonder when people in the church heard I'm a Meshach or a Mashach, they would sing, known in the church. And it's the same way that other tribes in, the land of Kenya would talk about the Kikuyu. It's the same thing. It's like was living that same life. And I've heard where another guy, said he just woke up out of his sleep screaming Naphtali out of just nowhere. And so then I was there to actually give him some information, to research on that. But I've seen how the Most High will wake up different people in different ways, over time. And it's just something to not stress. But I know for me, since I came into the knowledge for research, I became very research and knowledge heavy. So for me, I've used European sources, since that's what we believe. You have an encyclopedia, and y'all can jot this down, in the comments. Encyclopedia of Diasporas, Immigrant Refugee Cultures Around the World. It was written by 3 Yale University writers of human resources. And on I want to say page 38 or so, it has the names and then regions of where people are from. And then it says Afro-American Black Hebrews are from Israel. And this is a Yale University source. Or Harvard University's library, I came across a map in Soto, 1588, where it showed the Congo region as land of the Jews. It's a Latin map, and if you translate from Iberum Terra, it comes out as land of the Jews. And I'm like, oh, no wonder they set up the movie Black Panther the way they did, telling us the truth. And this is where you kind of get into Masonic symbolism and stuff like that. A whole nother conversation, a rabbit hole. But for what I find a lot of times is you have to use the same sources a lot of us have been privy to and have believed to get a lot of our people to believe it. Last one I'll say is University of Pennsylvania from the Franklin Library. You have Africana, the Encyclopedia of the African and African American Experience. And it says here, Frederick Douglass and other self-liberated slaves who recounted the experiences confirmed that the spiritual were full of symbolic language. The slaves themselves were God's chosen people, Israel. Moses was the leader and deliverer. Egypt or Babylon represented the South and held the Deep South. Pharaoh was a slave owner. The River Jordan was the Ohio River, or a similar body of water. The North and South, the Red Sea, or the Sea of Reeds, was the Atlantic Ocean. And home, Canaan, camp meeting, or the Promised Land were Africa, the Free States, Canada, or Liberia. And I'm like, wow, this is in college university sources. So either it's like, yeah, you send them the documentary that you created or others like it, or try to have some sources on hand that you might deem credible.
And some people just want to be Gentiles, and who am I to get between you and your desire to be a Gentile? It's not my place. So I gotta let people want to be Gentiles that want to be Gentiles. It's not my place to tell them otherwise.
But yeah, man. So I have a question, right? I saw that you posted, a couple of times on your Instagram page, about I guess being the leader, of this movement and such. And I could definitely say, again, you're one of the top guys who've been leading this awakening with the information that you've been putting out. Tell the people, where you feel your role is in the body, and I guess explain, what you mean in those posts exactly.
Well, when you look at we know that we have an enemy, and the enemy or the adversary is Satan or Lucifer, and we know that Christ identified the synagogue of Satan that say they are Jews and are not. And the word synagogue is a place where people come together to discuss the law and to pray, like a church, I guess. And that term written in the Greek, it's a Greek term, the word synagogue, that they used, and Christ uses it, or the New Testament uses it. And we know that today, the only people, prior to us understanding who we were as Israelites, who else was in the synagogues but people that identified as the Jews, because even the Ethiopian Jews, they use the term synagogue. They use the Hebrew term for the holy house. I think it's Bet Mikdash. So when I see these things, right, and we have people today that do not want the truth to come forth, and they'll do anything it takes to stop the truth, because the true truth is how we know that the Holy Spirit is behind it, because the Holy Spirit in the Ruach is the spirit of truth, and the truth reveals all things to our remembrance of what the Most High in Christ taught us. And so you have to look at the people in the world today that are against this truth of the Bible and its correct history and who is the people of the book. The Muslims don't really care. They do care because they do have an element of racism. The Arabs, because they don't believe that Muhammad was black. They don't believe that the Arabs were black or melanated. They believe that the original Ishmaelites were olive color, light skinned Arabs, but never black. They don't believe that the Hebrews were black. They don't believe that Abraham was melanated or black. They have that racial same racist beliefs that the Jews have in Europe and Europeans have in regards to black people in the Bible. But for the longest, I've always wondered. I'm really, a solo person teaching all of this stuff. I don't have a congregation. I don't have a camp. I don't have an assembly. I don't have 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 followers on YouTube. I don't post a lot of videos, every day or every other day. I just, make movies and make books, and then I do conferences and I teach, wherever I go. And then I'm on Instagram, and doing my thing, right? And before I even got into the awakening, I used to see, Brother Polite and Sarnetter and the Israelites, debating on the street, and Israelites on the corner on the street. I used to see these kind of videos, and I didn't pay them no mind. But and I've seen the IUICs and the GOCCs and the IUPK and the GMS. And then when I got into the truth and started researching for myself, and the Most High showed me all these things. And prior to that, I wasn't studying IUIC and other camps doctrines to come up with my book. I didn't know about From Babylon to Timbuktu. I didn't know about any Hebrew authors that had made books about the Hebrews. I didn't know about these things. The Most High simply led me to different things to help me find out who I was, and then who the Israelites in Africa was. But over the course of years, I saw how much physical, spiritual, social, economical, I was getting all types of attacks, especially when I was writing the book Hebrews to Negroes. And that's another conversation. And after the book was made, and I continued to make books and then movies and do conferences, I used to see these attacks on so many levels, and I'm like, why am I getting all these attacks? I'm just one guy, and nobody really knows who I am. And then to see later on, in the last 5 years, what the Most High has revealed to me in regards to the land of Canaan, Africa, the Israelites, our destiny, tying in all the dots. And I started looking at all the Israelite YouTube channels, the ones that are well known. And I looked at every one of them, and I said, they're still on YouTube. They've been on YouTube for a long time. They're still teaching the same stuff. They're not getting shadow banned. They're not getting community guideline strikes. They're not getting copyright strikes. They're not getting, people are not losing their channels or getting the comments deleted or getting put in Facebook jail, or Instagram jail, or Twitter jail, or YouTube jail because of them promoting or liking or commenting on Hebrews to Negroes. And I used to see this. People used to always tell me, like, Ron, they nobody, these social media sites, they always punish me for promoting, commenting, liking anything you do, anything that has to do with Hebrews Negroes. They're always attacking my channel and sites. It's like you can't. Yeah, it's like they're like, I don't get it, Ron. Like no, nobody else. I haven't dealt with this with no other Israelite other than you. And when I look at a lot of the doctrines of a lot of Israelites, and I look at what they're telling us to do or what to wait on, I look at how far off that we have left the beliefs, the core beliefs in Christianity, and now we're an Israelite. And you have a lot of Israelites that don't believe in the New Testament. They don't believe in Christ. They don't believe in baptism. They don't believe in the Holy Spirit. They don't believe in speaking in tongues. In the Pentecostal church, they say, anybody growing up, your mama, your grandmother, your cousin, your aunt, uncle, your auntie, your sister, your brother, if they were filled with the Holy Spirit, speaking in tongues in church, they could be 13, 15, 16, 18, 19 years old, whatever. They're possessed with a demon. They got demons in them. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Look, my mama got a demon. My daddy got a demon. My brother got a demon. My sister got a demon. My cousin got a demon. Like everybody that was raised in the Christian church, Pentecostal church, and I've seen them tearing. I've seen them be filled with the Holy Ghost. I've seen them in the choir. I've seen them baptized and speaking in tongues. I see all these things, people being delivered of demons and all these things. I said, this is all done under the name of a demon? In the name of Satan, Lucifer? I said, some of you guys' teachings is kind of off. And then I started to look at the world changing, and I'm moving in the direction of we need to go back to Africa, and the Israelites all throughout Africa, they're like hidden Hebrews, but they're there, and we don't know these things because we don't even bother to go there or do the research on any of these countries in Africa. So I'm going in one direction, and the Israelites are still staying in their direction. The vast majority are going this direction, and I'm now going this direction. And when I started to do that, I noticed all the problems that I had. Banned from Facebook, banned from TikTok, banned from YouTube, banned from GoFundMe, banned from Clubhouse, banned from this and that, this constantly over and over again. And I said to myself, we have a problem with true leadership, and a true leader leads us in a direction, and that direction has to align with the Bible, and what the Bible says that our future is going to be, and what we have to look forward to. And after 10 to 20 years, you got to ask yourself, we can't keep talking about who is Esau. We can't keep saying Babylon is going to be destroyed. We can't keep saying wear your fringes, don't eat pork, come to the Sabbath, come to your feast days, spend money, get your nice garments, take pictures, and get your staff and all this other stuff. And we're just doing this every year. Things are getting worse, and we're not looking at the whole picture. But for me, I think that I see myself as a leader, that if I'm looking on the outside, if I was looking on the outside and looking at this, everything happening in the Israelite community, even prior to Kyrie, after Kyrie Irving, I would, knowing my background, how I came out of Christianity and Pentecostal church, and my core beliefs that I still have, I would say, man, this Ron Dalton guy, he makes sense in a lot of the stuff he says. He's a family man. He has an education. He has degrees. He's not some dumb Negro. He knows, he researches. He knows what he's talking about. He's humble. He's approachative. He doesn't make himself not available to people. He doesn't I don't have any avatars, so you don't know who I am. I don't got fake names, so you don't know who I am, where I am. You know, he's always doing conferences that are not strictly alienated to just camps. Anybody can come to the conferences that I have. You know, anybody can be a part of the things that I do. I don't have it as, oh, if you're not part of Sakara, you can't come. You're not part of IUIC, no, you can't come. If you're not part of this, you can believe, you can follow all the people you want to follow. But at the end of the day, my thing is that I need to lead people into the truth that I know the Most High has shown me and wants me to reveal to other people. And when I look at a lot of the things that other people are teaching, I can't nowadays, I can't tell people, I'm coming out of Christianity, who should I follow on YouTube? And honestly, I can tell them, you need to follow IUIC, you need to follow ISUBK, you need to follow GLCC, you need to follow Sakara, you need to follow Israel of God, you need to follow whoever, because I know their doctrines, I know their teachings, I know what they've been doing for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And it's sad that I can't refer anybody right now to any Israelite assembly, camp, congregation, because the state of the Israelite community right now, it's not good. It is not good. It is not good. What I see happening in America, in the way people are struggling to survive in America, is only getting worse. And the only thing the vast majority of Israelites can tell us, it's the flee doctrine. Don't go to Africa. That's not the land of Israel. That's the land of Ham. The Bible says we're not supposed to go there. The Most High is going to gather us. We ain't got our reparations yet. Oh wait, UFO chariots are coming to get us. You need to sit back and wait, because these chariots that we keep seeing in the sky coming to get us. And all this nonsense. I'm like, you guys are crazy. And then they're not teaching anything. Like, they're not teaching about Gomer and Magog and Meshach and Tubal and Togarmah and Persia and Cush and Puk. That's in Ezekiel 38.
Right.
They're not teaching if we want to talk about the land of Canaan, the land of Israel, who are the Canaanites? Can somebody break that down for me? And I don't like it when the Israelites don't want to address it. They say, well, they're extinct, they don't exist anymore. Or they say, well, they're the Lebanese people, they're the Palestinians. How in the world can you tell other black Israelites that Cush is black, Egypt is black, Put is black, but Canaan is a white Arab in Palestine or Lebanon? How can you do that? or he's an albino black person. Where is the land of black albinos? Where is that country at where we see all black albinos, the Canaanites? So there's a lot of things that are wrong in the Israelite community. And on top of that, those in the Israelite community that have been here for 5, 10, 15 years, and they actually have assemblies. They actually have YouTube channels. They have Atlanta, Detroit, Miami, Seattle, Texas, Houston, Dallas. They got them all over the United States and the United Kingdom and in South America. And each channel is getting views every day. And each channel that gets views every day is getting a YouTube Google check at the end of the month. They're making money all off of YouTube. And then on top of that, you're paying dues and supporting the leaders, the leadership at the hierarchy. You got the one leader and you got the elders and the leaders. These are the guys that are flying around in different countries and they're teaching. And they got the bullhorn and they're in every country. They're the ones on TV. They're talking to you to read scripture. These elders and leaders, they're getting paid. They're not working a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. A lot of them are not doing that. And you got to look at the fact we build communities, self-sustainable communities in Africa. We buying land. We getting boreholes and solar panels and building houses and communities, low-income housing. Are we doing all these things that we really need to do as a community? And are we putting out calls to action and projects and saying these are the deadlines, this is what we want done, and all this stuff? We're not doing any of these things. And I think that as Israelites, knowing the word, knowing what the Bible says, to love your Israelite neighbor as yourself, and all these things that we see. You know, we say we love each other. You're my brother, and all sorts of stuff. We love Yah, and we do it for the nation, for the kingdom. But we really are not doing any of these things, and I'm really sick and tired of it. And this is why I'm taking the initiative to put together groups and tours and things of the nature to kind of shift us in the direction that's kind of separating ourselves from America, going back to Africa. Because honestly, I really feel that when America or Babylon is judged and she starts perceiving her plagues, we don't want to be here if we don't have to be here. And the first step to understanding why we need to leave, we need to be taught by our leaders why we need to visit Africa or consider planning and preparing to relocate there, because we have time, but time is running out. We have money, we are working, and our dollar is powerful and strong in Kenya, in Ghana, in South Africa, and Tanzania, but we don't use our money correctly. We should. And I'm honestly, I think at this stage, like I pulled.
No. Okay. Hello.
Oh, no, I was thinking about asking a question about, you just kind of touch on group economics there.
Yeah. Oh, can you hear it?
Yeah, so I know I went on a rant, but so I just think that we need leadership that's going to produce action and fruit, and I don't see that being done right now in the Israelite community.
Which that's why our pod is called Kingdom Outkasts, because we came together and we kind of realized like we don't fit into the Israelite community exactly. We have Christian values, but we don't consider ourselves a Christian platform. So that's why we're an outcast. We bring on other outcasts to discuss what it's like being outcasts.
Exactly, Kingdom Outcast, and really set apart, that's really what we are for real. And it's interesting how you mentioned the censorship. For one, I always tell people I've been censored since 2019. People haven't seen some of my stuff for 3 years. And I did some things to get my algorithm back up. But the moment I started tagging you in post, 5 views in my stories. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
telling you, you can't make it up. You cannot make it. I know it was an Ethiopian lady. And she was on Twitter and Clubhouse. And she used to have 50,000, 100,000 views. She used to open up a Clubhouse room and have hundreds of people in there, hundreds of people. When she ran into me and started having me on her Clubhouse stage, talking about the Israelites and King Solomon and Menelik and Queen Sheba, and she started talking about it on Twitter, then her views went all the way down to where she couldn't get like 100 views. She couldn't even get 1,000 views. And she said, Ron, she says, ever since I met you and I started having you on my platform and talking about you, she says, ever since that day, everything has changed. And I'm shadow banned beyond belief. And she says, I know for a fact it's because of you, nobody else. And I said, you're not alone, trust me. And I'm sad and sorry that happened. But it shows you how much they don't want Hebrews to Negroes to penetrate the eyes and ears of people worldwide. And I say these things, and Pastor Dow and others, I said, you see, guys, we guys keep talking. We gotta stop talking. Because you know what I told Pastor Dow? I said, look, it's 100 guys in here, 100 guys at one of the conferences we did. It's 100 guys. I said, how many of you guys can get $1,000? And they all raised their hand. I said, what's $1,000 times 100 Hebrews? I said $100,000. And I said, okay. I said, and when we post videos on YouTube, don't we get more than 1,000 views? You guys are getting 15,000, 20,000, 50,000, 25,000, 30,000 views off one video. And you're doing it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, repeat every year. I said, what's 1,000 Hebrews times $1,000? It's $1 million. I said, you mean to tell me we can't get 1,000 Hebrews to donate $1,000 towards a project in Africa? I said, you know what I can do with $1 million in Africa? If I took $1 million right now to South Africa, $1 million, I could get so much land that every every 1,000 people, every person in that 1,000, they'll have their plot of land. They'll have their plot, and then you can say, well, guess what, guys? What are we gonna do next? Okay, we got to develop the land. We got to get boreholes. We got to get solar panels. We got to build a wall. We got to have this and have that. We got to build the roads. We got to have security. We got to have this. Everything you want. You say, hey guys, let's do it again. Let's throw your money. 500, 700, 350, 1,000. And guess what? Everybody that chips in and knows the meaning and why we need to do this, they're gonna say it's for nation building.
Yeah.
And so we can get out of this system and start eating what we farm, drinking what we tapped out of the ground, using the energy that the sun has provided us in Africa, building houses to where we don't have to get a mortgage for 30 years and pay interest on it. We can build it with brick and mortar. All these things I keep saying to Israelites, why are we doing this? Why are we not doing this? I said, I'm shadow banned beyond belief, but you guys are posting videos every day, 15,000, 20,000 views, 30,000 views, 50,000 views. There's some Israelites who be like, Shalom family, take a look at this video and I'll talk about it at the end. They'll post a video of somebody else. And at the end of the video, they'll make a comment. And that video will get like 50,000 views. It's not even a video. They just talk and say, Shalom family, check out this video. And then, we get back to you. And that video in one day will be close to 50,000 views. And all those people are commenting in the comments, oh, I love your channel. Keep up the good work. But nobody's saying, we're in Africa, we're in Kenya, we're in South Africa. Huh?
Right.
We said views are free. Like you said, people want to scroll all day. So you can get views, but as far as action, that's something different.
No action. And Brandon, you already know, listen, if somebody gave you $1 million and you went to Kenya, what kind of land could you give?
Look, I bought for like a charity thing I kind of did. I bought an acre big sweet potato garden for $300. It was in Uganda, for some people over there. And I'm like, yo, it's in the red tape. I mean, the lack of red tape that it took to do that versus here in America. I mean, it was really easy. Mm-hmm. And that's, and it's funny how you talk about that. We definitely want to talk more about on our alternative thought. We have walking in the way in the future, and you kind of jumping into that. But it's interesting how you talk about the censorship and people who do have a voice. And that's where it just goes into like controlled opposition. For me, I look at Kanye as controlled opposition. I look at a lot of the camps as controlled opposition. You see Masonic symbolism, you see this and that, you see false doctrine, or even Kendrick, with the halftime show saying the revelation, the revolution will be televised. Look, we know he talked about being an Israelite on his damn album, but is he really telling us the truth? He can only say so much because he's spoken by the Ish people umbrella. You know what I'm saying? It's like
all you gotta do is say, listen, guys, who is Kendrick Lamar signed to right now? Universal Music Publishing Group. Who is the CEO? Google it, and you'll see the CEO is Jewish. So if Kendrick is signed to this label, then do you think that he can do a halftime show and wake up the people kind of like what Kyrie tried to do? They already know what he's going to do because to do a halftime show, they need to rehearse. They need to know how the props, what you're going to do, all the dancing and stuff. They got to know who they're going to have come on stage and they crip walk. They got to know all the things that's going to go along with the rehearsal and the lights in the audience, game over and warning. Donald Trump is sitting there like he's the emperor of Rome. He's just looking as the emperor of Rome sits way at the top. He's looking down like at the people entertaining him. And they're not going to let you run amok. And the president of the United States, he already said that he's not going to stand for anti-Semitism.
Oh, yeah. I think that's kind of, I think he said something about deporting people who talk anti-Semitism. I'm like, okay, with what's going on right now, we're seeing signs of this, him wanting to move the Afrikaners, out of South Africa, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Clear our land out. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. So you're kind of getting to some of our current events, and that's what we want to talk about actually a little bit and your views on it. we see Trump talking about fighting anti-Semitism. We see him cutting ties with South Africa and wanting to move white people because of, I guess, racism they're experiencing out there. You know, do you feel like these are signs in just ways that you see the Most High kind of setting things up for this exodus or this gathering, you know, that's you know, that we feel is coming about for us? You know, he's trying to push the minorities out, you know, illegal immigrants, all of that. So
yeah, I think definitely the Most High is using him and Elon and the neo-Nazis and other things happening in America that we can see on TikTok, we can see it on Twitter, we can see it on Instagram. Even my daughter in college, she says, Daddy, she says, I mean, everything I'm seeing on the social media is not happy and fun no more. I'm like, it's nothing happy and fun. It's all bad, gloom and doom for America. Is that true? And I said, yeah, it is true. And she says, all the stuff that Donald Trump is doing, it seems like it's bad. And the things that are happening in America is bad. Are these things true? And I said, yes, it is true. And I said, I've been telling you this for a long time. That's why I left America. I said, America is going to be hell. And I said, you better hope you can get a job when you graduate, because even when you get a job, you're still going to complain. Trust me. You're going to say, I don't have enough money to survive. I need a husband. I need to move in with somebody. I said, this is what they're doing to America, and this is where things are headed. I said, they don't have to hire you because you're black and you're a physical therapist or whatever career you have and you got a degree. They don't have to hire you because you're black. They can get all the white and Indian and Jewish and Chinese and Asian applicants that say, I graduated with a PhD in physical therapy. I'm a doctorate in physical therapy. Okay, you got an Indian to choose from, you got an Asian, you got an Arab, you got a Jew, you got a European, you got a black. They don't have to choose you. And what if they don't choose you? Are you going to have the money to start your own clinic? And are you going to have customers if your clinic is in a white area versus a black area? You know, so, and then if you're in a black area, then you got Medicaid. You may have Medicare, you may have private insurances. So there's a lot of things happening in black people, whether you're young or you're in the working class. You have to understand that the Most High, like I always say all the time, he's going to show people that y'all are hard-headed. Y'all keep loving on Babylon, but Babylon is going to show you that Babylon don't love you, and the Most High is going to tell you, you guys, you need to start thinking about leaving here. And what did Barack Obama and Michelle put out last year for us, and I seen it when I was in America. I seen Leave the World Behind, and when I seen that movie, I said, what?
A lot of people don't know that's produced by their company. Yeah.
And I said, this movie is about America, so why didn't they just call it Leave America Behind?
And there's a whole lot of hidden symbolism in there. The White Lion, I think, one of the first slave ships, 1619, that came up on the radio.
19.
I'm like, oh, they even had a QR code that popped up on the television. I'm like, these people are really like hiding this stuff and telling us in our face, but hiding it through entertainment.
I mean, even think about Elon getting he basically got elected to office essentially.
Yeah,
but his car is driving right into the highway.
Yeah,
hidden messages right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's you know, it reminds me of reading in the book Morals and Dogma, you know, by Albert Pike. Mm-hmm. Is one of the Masonic books, but it says Masonry, like all the religions, all the mysteries, hermeticism, and alchemy, conceals its secrets from all except the adepts and the sages or the elect, and uses false explanations and misinterpretations of its symbols to mislead those who only deserve to be misled, to conceal truth, which it calls light from them, light or Lucifer, which is talked about later in the book, from them, and to draw them away from it. And you can see where this is how America is set up. They can predictive programming. Let's put the truth in front of your face through entertainment. Meant to tame the mind on television, programming channels. And so you're numb to it. You accept it when it actually happens. You know, you don't realize you're just being told the plan.
I want to shift to the alternative thought a little bit, if we can. So we have a topic of walking in the way in the future. I want to hear from you what you think that it would look like. You were kind of getting into it as you spoke about bringing funds together, And you spoke about relocating and the future of America. But what do you think that truly living in the way will look like?
Okay, I want to see us going back to Africa, linking up with chiefs and kings, and people that are in high positions, and they are hearing what we have to say. I mean, they know that the Israelites, a lot of them, but we can bring another element of the urgency of what's happening in Bible prophecy, and why the scripture states that when we come back home, that these good things are going to happen, and these are the mountains of Israel, of his people. And you see, whether you lease land for 99 years or 50 years, at the hands of a king or a chief, or just a regular guy that owns customary or traditional land, or you buy the land freehold land, you buy it and you get a title deed in Africa. We have to start to come together, the diaspora and the local continental Africans that are the Israelites. We have to come together because we know that the beast system is going to want to control how you are able to have access to water and food and shelter and your monthly utilities and your internet and your petrol, your gasoline, your education, everything. You got to pay for that in Africa. And that's what people are hustling to work so that their kids can go to school and get an education. They can have petrol for the car. They can have data for their phone in their house. They can go to the market or the grocery store and get groceries. They can pay their utilities. They can have all the stuff that costs money that the Gentiles control and they own. And we need to come together because the land has everything we need. And we have to bring our money, because we shouldn't have to depend on the Gentiles and the IMF and the World Bank and the USA and other countries to build up what the Bible calls the waste places. Which is really, Africa is not a desolate land. It's just uncultivated. It's just a lot of this land just sitting there not doing anything. And we have to utilize that land and make the land become fruitful for us. And the way we do that is coming together and using the money that we can bring from America and collectively pull it together. Like I said, $1,000 times 1,000 people is $1 million. And we can start to have these set apart, sustainable communities all throughout Africa where people are using their arms and legs and their hands to sow and plant and harvest and have water. It's like Wakanda. It's like Wakanda. Wakanda didn't need no help from the outside world. They had it all there. They had the vibranium. They had all the water. They had all the resources. They didn't need nobody. They had a cloak that you couldn't even find where they was at. We need to take notes from the Bible and Black Panther, and that we can do that, but we have to become unified. We have to practice group economics. We can't be scamming one another, defrauding one another. We can't be trying to get a one up on the diaspora because they got money and we're trying to survive, and I'm gonna take a little bit off of this, but they ain't gonna know because they don't know the language, they don't know the race, they don't know the price. No, we have to treat each other fairly. Fairly. Don't defraud your brother or your neighbor. Give him his just pay and charge him appropriately. Don't overcharge him. Don't charge him interest. Don't scam him. Give him fake indentures, thinking he's getting a real indenture. No, don't do that. We have to let the people know. Look, guys, we understand we're not dissing the ancestors, but we have to start looking at the old ways not working. We have to start getting back to the Bible and the Most High and following His word. And that word means that we got to start doing this, and this, and then we can start to exit from the matrix and the colonial powers, which are still behind the scenes running Sierra Leone, running Ghana, running South Africa, running Botswana. Look, we can do it, but it requires us understanding the Bible, who we are, our land, the potential the land has, the destiny and the future that's in the Bible, and just executing it. It's executed. And I tell everybody all the time, we are the ones that's going to fulfill prophecy. Us, people. So the prophecy in Ezekiel 33, 36, 37, 38, the Gentiles can't fulfill that. We have to fulfill that. And the land and us have to sink to fulfill the prophecies. If all we want to do is sit in America and look at Netflix all day and go to work from 9 to 5 and hope we won't get fired and go through all the pandemics and the inflation and the war and all the stuff, then we have to look at like, hey, something has to give here. And either we're going to start moving in our biblical destiny and getting back to the continent, because the two sticks is not just all in Africa. You got the diaspora that's going to be gathered. That's going to be gathered out of the countries. So, I think that this what it looks like, and what I want to see, at least in my lifetime, it was a lot of Israelites in the diaspora sort of shifting their teachings and their beliefs and start to align themselves and say, hey, you know what, man, Ron's right. Ron's been talking about this stuff for a while now. I said, he's been really bringing up some stuff that you can't deny it. And I believe Ron now. We need to support Ron. We need to align with him. Let's work together. Let's get some action plans going. Let's start doing videos where we're telling the Israelites we need to get an email blast list going, a centralized email blast list, so that when we do something and we need something, yes, we have YouTube, but if they shut YouTube down, they shut my channel down, they shut your channel down, then we're emailing and blasting all the Israelites. Hey guys, we need this, and we need it for this reason. And this is where you send the money to. Ron and the Israelites are going to Ghana, then they're going to Tanzania, then they're going to Kenya, now they're going to South Africa, now they're going to. We need to have these things set up now while we still can. Set it up now. Get a centralized email database that all the Israelites tell they say, listen, guys, IUIC, look, we want everybody to go to this one website and subscribe your email in the centralized database, and we're gonna have a team, like 2 or 3 people that oversees it. And so we pay a monthly fee to store all these emails in a database, so that when we need to send out action plan emails and updates and newsletters and anything we're trying to do, we just click on the list, send, and it goes out to thousands of Israelites, and they all see it. They say, okay, I got $1,000. Let me donate. Boom. And then now you see the leaders in Africa, and you guys are buying land. You can see us on the video. They're taking videos. We got the land. We got the boreholes being installed. We got the JoJo tanks. We got the solar panels over here. We got the walls up. We got the livestock. We got the chicken coop. We got all this stuff. And then we can start saying, look, guys, we got the apartment block and the units for all of you guys to come. We got 1 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom. And it all happened because you guys believed in us. You guys worked together. We used group economics. We started becoming unified and doing the things the Bible says we're supposed to do. But we really need the Israelites in America. They have a lot of power in terms of their followers and getting them to do what they tell them to do as the leaders, because they'll listen to what their leader says. You don't think that IUIC is not going to listen to Bishop Nathaniel? Like when I see those videos with all those men walking in IUIC, just an endless sea of men walking, Israelites, they're just marching, walking.
Yeah.
IUIC, they got all those men, and those men have kids, those men have wives, those men have family members. But yet, all these people we got in the Israelite communities on YouTube, we're not doing none of this stuff. We're not doing, and I'm thinking, like, this is so simple. So simple. You mean to tell me IUIC doesn't have 1,000 people that can come together and donate $1,000? That's $1 million.
But that's kind of how you control up, you know. Yeah, that's how you.
That's what I'm saying. If I was the leader of IUIC, I was the leader of IUIC, and I had all these followers throughout the United States, and I would say, look, guys, meaning everybody by the end of the year or the end of the end, like by the summertime, we need $1,000 from each one of you. And we're going to take that money. We're gonna hit South Africa. We're gonna hit Botswana. We're gonna hit Kenya. We're gonna hit Tanzania. We're gonna hit Ghana. We're gonna hit Nigeria. We're gonna hit all this Congo and Uganda. And you watch what we do with that money, and with teaming up with the chiefs, the kings, the locals, the builders, all these guys. We're gonna start putting people's hands to work. Man, I'm telling you, it could be a glorious time and a shift for Israel if people like him and others simply did the things that I'm saying. But for a long time, for years, I haven't seen nobody doing nothing like this. And I know that people don't believe that the motherland is the Holy Land, it's the land of Canaan, all this stuff. And that's the problem. That's part of the problem. The part of the problem is they don't believe that. And how could you not believe that when people like me and you have been to the continent? We know that the Israelites, they view the mountain as a holy place. That's why they call it the high places. And the Israelites used to go to the high places to worship, to pray, to get an answer from God. And so in every country where you have Mount Rwenzori, Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Kenya, all the Bantu people are looking into the mountain and praying to the mountain. You know, they're going up the mountain to get circumcised. And then they come down from the mountain. And it's all centered around Judaic, Hebraic history and customs. And the people that's bringing out all this research to people in America is people like me and you, because we've been to the continent, we've talked to the elders and the chiefs and the kings, we studied, and we want to share this with other people so they can see that the true land of Canaan is here. And because we know it's here, and if we agree that it's here, then that means we need to get there because it's our land. And our land is supposed to be our precious covenant gift that the Most High gave us. Because at the end of the day, the gift that the Most High gave us, he said, I'm going to give Abraham this land and your forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the land that I swear unto your forefathers. So the land was the prize. It was the gift that the Most High gave. It was the first thing the Most High thought about when he wanted to give something to our descendants. And the reason why he did that is because he knew there was going to come a time in history that we were going to need to be on that land to survive the things that are coming upon the earth. Because Babylon is not the place to be when you know the land of Canaan is your land.
It really isn't. What you say, it kind of reminds me of when you study the disciples and how they operated, or the Nazarenes, you know, they operate in a way where they share, you know, things equally. And if you took from it, you know, we know the story where the husband and wife, you know, they died on the spot, you know, when they withheld from the greater community. And I mean, we just really need to study, of course, how the Israelites moved. And it's funny how you brought up, you know, Black Panther. I often say Black Panther 2 and Avatar 2 are literally the story of the two houses, the two sticks coming together. You know what I mean? They're the same movie for both, you know, Avatar 2 and Black Panther 2. And also kind of what you said, and that's the thing, like, you know, we have the gospel, we've been preaching the gospel, but it hasn't been preached in its entirety because this awakening has, you know, been lost. Israel, which is a guy from School of Hebrews, he did a sermon one time about the full gospel and how reading the book of Isaiah, you know, talks about, you know, bringing the scattered, you know, Israelites together, and some of the minor and major prophets throughout. And it's like, this is the main element when you're talking about who's scattered across the world. You know, we're the only ones, you know, who fit that bill. And we should be looking at the promises of, you know, the renewed Jerusalem, you know, kingdom of heaven, getting, you know, to that in the afterlife. But what about before that? The millennial reign, you know, when the Messiah comes around, like that. Do you want just those promises for the afterlife, or do you want experiences, the ones that we'd still be alive probably to see? You know what I mean? Yeah. And that is when he, you know, unites us, and that's the full gospel. You know,
and that's the future. That's, we're speaking about what it means way in the future. That is the future.
Exactly.
So I think it's a good point.
And that's why we got to see ourselves in the word. So we understand we're trying to do all this Black community stuff. Well, the blueprint is right there. We just haven't seen ourselves in it. You know what I mean? I remember somebody on a podcast recently was just talking about, how the Israelite Black isn't the same as Black, and it's like, well, it isn't, because we actually have a blueprint for what to do, but we've been swayed. Leaders,
Brandon.
What's up,
Brandon? I did at the conference I did in North Carolina. I showed a clip of the movie The Never Ending Story. I don't know if you've seen that movie. And I said, guys, listen here. I said, this white kid ran into a library, got this book. He's reading the book, and then towards the end of the book, he's like, "Am I in the book?" He's like, "Is this book about me?" It's like, "Am I an integral part of the book?" And as the kingdom of the little white girl with the white hair, and she's like, "All you have to do is say the name. The kingdom's gonna be destroyed. It's you. You got to help us." And he's like, "This is a book. This is not real. What are you talking about? I can't do anything. I can't change anything." And he didn't know that he's in the book. He's an integral part of the book. The character Atreyu, like he got kicked to the side, or he got knocked down, and he was like out of action. And so at that point, the fate of the kingdom lied in this little boy reading the book, which is like the Bible. And here we have the Israelites, and we have the Bible. We know the past. We know why we were going through the curses right now. And the Bible gives us the future. It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. We're the Israelites. The future is laid out right here. So why are we not walking in what the Bible says the future is supposed to be for us? Exactly. In the land. In the land, not America, in the chosen land. So once you start to get this in people's thick heads, then you can be like the white kid in the Never-Ending Story. And the white lady says, "You just gotta say the name." And he says, "All right, I'm gonna do it." He goes to the window, opens the window, it's raining, and then he says the name. He screams it out, and then the kingdom is saved. End of story. And then you have the theme song at the end of the movie. Hooray, hooray! But the Israelites are like stuck. We're stuck in a sunken place. We're stuck in like the curses and Esau and Babylon, America. We're stuck right there. We can't see past there to get the things that you were talking about, the kingdom, the millennial reign, all the good things. I'm going to do for you better in the latter days than I did for you in the beginning. And you'll know that I am Yahuwah, and you are my flock, and all this other stuff. We're not even looking at that, because we're so stuck on the new covenant, having multiple wives, Esau, Babylon destroyed. we just got this wall up, and we can't get past this. And I'm on the other side of the wall saying, "Hey guys, let's go over here." They're like, "Ron's crazy. Nah, don't listen to him." I'm like, "All right, guys, suit yourself. Stay in Babylon. Babylon's about to fall. You guys are just staying over here, not listening. You hard-headed because you don't want to believe what I got to say. And you don't want to acknowledge that this land that I'm walking on right now, that I'm in right now, is the Holy Land." It's crazy. And it's sad that I see some of these people like IUIC in Africa. They're in Africa, IUIC, and they got a lot of influence. And I just sometimes I don't know. I said, is it controlled opposition? Is it intentional?
Look, I see too many of the hand symbols, too many situations, and to be real, I really think it's a thing of a hijacking of the movement. Let's put these leaders in position that you don't really know much about their background before they became this leader, to make us look like terrorists, to make us look like, people who hate everybody, to scream at white folk on the side of the street. It's really just a way the enemy knowing, okay, I know the awakening is happening, but let's hijack it. And now the moment you consider yourself an Israelite, we're going to mentally box you in to being on the street corner, to this and that. And it's like, wait a minute, fam. It's a nationality, not a religious construct, of a one-way thinking.
It turns people away, and it makes you not feel like you can be honest about what your beliefs are, basically.
Yeah.
So I think we should get into financial news. What do you guys say?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've been talking about it, and I'm glad that you mentioned this in regards to, like, as I think about the second Exodus, we have to first off have a a basis, a foundation, and that must be our Bible. And like spiritually, we just have to be filled with the Holy Spirit. But as we're thinking about like the second Exodus, you touched on group economics and how like I think it's a big buzz term, but like, and people are like, oh yeah, let's do group economics, let's like work together. But like, because of the lack of leadership, it's like, well, where are we going to? What are we actually going to do? And then you have to like incorporate all the other, like the understanding of the truth and how like abundant sub-Saharan Africa is. And as I like, okay, so I think one thing with us Negroes here in America, we had to get out the mindset of, I'm just gonna wait on reparations from the government so that we can
I was waiting on that. I was waiting on reparations.
Make it happen
I
yourself.
have $100,000.
But think about it, like when we were in Kenya, and I know you can attest to this, like the dollar goes so much more further in those places. So while the dollar is still able to be like before hyperinflation happens, you know what I mean? We need to be utilizing that.
It's already happened a little too, because it's definitely a little less valuable than when I went in 2021. So
well, that's why we need assets that retain their store value,
gold and silver
metals, and actual businesses that are creating opportunities, but
trades and skill sets.
What have you seen, Ron, like in South Africa and I guess sub-Saharan Africa, like in regards to trades that do really well and that are in need, as well as like investment opportunities that we should be looking at?
Well, in South Africa, the Gentiles got it on lock. They have it on lock, and they studied us, and they know we like food, entertainment, hospitality, hotels. They know that we like, we like staying in nice, affordable apartment complexes, or condominiums or estates. They know that we like, cars. They know that we like liquor, alcohol, vaping. They know we like clubs. They know we like all these things, like studios, places to shoot shows. And man, the Gentiles have got so many things on lock. But I think that the opportunity that we have as Israelites is getting into pulling our money together and getting land and building our own communities to where we can start to have in these communities have our own shops, to have our own homes that we built and with our own hands, and we own the home. It's not owned by the Gentiles, and we're paying rent, we're paying mortgages and bonds, and the community of the state has bylaws that the Gentiles put in place, and we're paying the body corporate that the Gentiles are over. Because it's like, come on, guys, if you go to like a place and it says Blue Valley Estate, and you look up who is over Blue Valley Estate, and Blue Valley Estate has a school, and you're like, man, the Gentiles own everything, but you got all these black people in here trying to get into this estate and then enroll their kids in the school that's in the estate on the grounds. You see this all throughout South Africa, and it's like we can do the same thing, but we have to pull our money together and have the capital so that we can buy or have land and then build an estate, a community, and then have in the community or around the community all the shops that people can do business. But it's hard to do that when nobody has the capital, nobody's using group economics, and if you need chicken or hamburger or lamb or fish or goat or anything you need in South Africa, you think of it, and a Gentile has it. He already owns it. A laundromat, a tailor, a florist, a bakery, a dealership, hotels, grocery stores, supermarkets, hardware stores, everything you can think of in South Africa. You go there, and I've been doing this since 2022. And since 2022, I go in every business I go into. I say, who's the owner? And they look at, I'm usually either by myself or with a South African. And they look at me like, come on, Rod. I said, no, just listen, watch this. I'm telling you. I said, and it's in my books and my movies I talk about all the time. And they look at each other and say, who owns this place? And they go, oh, what's the guy's name again? And they'll say like like Davidson or Rothberg or something, and I say, "Are they Jewish?"
No,
Yeah, I said, "Are they Jewish?" And they say, "Yeah, they are Jewish." But yeah, they are. How'd you know? Like they own everything. If they're not Jewish, they're Greek, they're Portuguese, they're Afrikaans, they're British, they're East Indian, they're Arab. Like they even have marijuana dispensaries here in South Africa, and one of them opened up in this shopping mall plaza, and I went in there, and a black lady was in there, and a lot of people were coming in there just looking at the stuff they had, the medical marijuana and different things. And I said, "Let me ask you a question." I said, "Is this owned by an Arab?" And she says, "It is." "How do you know?" I said, "Because it's owned by Arabs in America." And she says,
Yeah.
And she says it is owned by Arab. I said, "Man, this is crazy." In every place that my wife has went to get either hair or anything, when girls want like lace front wigs and anything that has to do with hair, you know who you go to in South Africa? You go to the Chinese. You go to the Chinese and the Asians. You go to the little flea market, and the Chinese have all the hair. They have all the hair care products. They have everything you want. I'm like, man, this is crazy. And if you want a rug or any textiles or rugs or garments or linen, you go to the Indians and the Pakistanis. When you want linen, you want garments, you want rugs, you want cloths, anything like that, they're going to take you to the flea market. And who's the one with the shop? It's the East Indians, it's the Pakistani, it's the Bangladeshi man. And it's like, man, and in these shops, black people are working for them. They're working for them because as soon as you walk in, they're like, "Can I help you?" And the owner is sitting there like this. "Go ahead and help him. Go ahead, see what he wants." And I'm like, "Are you the owner?" Like, "No, he's the owner." I was like, "Oh, that Muslim guy. Where are you from, guy?" And he says, "Pakistan." He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "America." And they said, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, man, I said, the black guy said, "Do we own anything here?" And they're like, "We own everything."
Yeah,
That's Africa.
Yeah.
Like, but people in Africa, we do sell stuff, we do sell things, but on a major level, just like in Ghana, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, it might be a different story, but in South Africa and Botswana and Zimbabwe, the Gentiles have already sunk their teeth into all the major sectors of business. The banks, you already know the banks are controlled by them, and so yeah, it's we just have to come together and do our own thing. That's the only way. It's the only way.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right about that. We definitely saw a lot of that when we went to Kenya this last October.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be 2 a.m. and you just hear the like the loud Muslim synagogues and I mean, so we did our best to support African owned places, but it's
there's a lot of Islam over there for sure. At least in Kenya, from the communities that we were in.
Yeah.
But you kind of touched on like the Chinese owning a lot of hair stores and stuff. And I know South Africa is part of the BRICS conglomerate now. Have you seen, like, I guess a shift in the economy getting away from the United States dollar bill? Do they have their own currency over there that is BRICS backed, or
No, not yet. I've seen videos of the BRICS currency, the dollar, the paper, but the BRICS, I mean, they got stuff already lined up. I just don't know when they're gonna switch to it, because they are going to their own currency, and they have their own system that they don't have to use. They don't have to use SWIFT to make international payments. So they're set. They have the stuff already set up, but we're still using the rand, and the dollar, of course, is still strong in South Africa. So a lot of things in South Africa, when I use my card, is cheap. So no, it's not BRICS money yet, but I know it's coming.
What do you think?
I'm thinking United Nations 2030 agenda. You'll own nothing and be happy. It's probably going to be crypto by that time.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, I saw the video as well, the BRICS currency, the fiat currency, and I'm like, I don't think the BRICS would start pumping out fiat currency. I think it's going to be a digital currency. Have you seen like digital currencies being used in South Africa? Maybe like I don't know, Bitcoin XRP or anything of those.
No, no. A lot of people in South Africa, they're still using cash. They still hold on to cash. They may not have a bank account. They got this thing called e-wallet. And e-wallet, you can do it on your phone, on your app. And if you do have a bank account, then either you're going to use your card at the register, or you're just going to give them cash. Usually at local shops, you just give them cash. And of course, if you're going to have cash, the ATMs are always going to be people standing in line to get money out the ATM machine. It's kind of similar to Ghana. When you're in Ghana and people are in the street selling stuff, they don't have a machine that you can just tap and pay in Ghana. The people that's selling stuff, they have the stuff on their heads. They don't have no machine to give you a receipt and then tap, pay, and all that stuff. Swipe the card. You just give them the money, and they give you the product, and you go about your way. So in a lot of countries in Africa, it's not. I mean, they have certain apps you can send money, like Momo Money, and in Ghana they have I think two main ones they use to send money digitally. But Bitcoin, XRP, I don't really see people using it. I know people do get into that. Some people I've seen and heard talking to, but for the most part, the majority population that's underemployed or unemployed, they don't have the money for that.
Okay.
Well, y'all hear me say it all the time. You know, Kenya is still within my sights to be moving. In the hopefully very near future. But yeah, I guess my last person. I mean, hey, look, I could rap with you for hours, but we gotta kind of respect time and such. But I guess my last comment or thought is, and somebody actually commented it, about not waiting until the last minute. I guess one of the big conversations with certain Israelite leaders is waiting on the Most High, right? To gather us, right? Do we all need to individually start doing this for ourselves? Or is there a sign, or is there something we should be waiting for, or is there going to be some calamity that happens that causes us to have to move? What's your view on, I guess, this time frame and how all this is going to come together? Because I know for me personally, I know I want to do for self and move, life eventually, to Kenya, right? Especially if I'm going to be raising a family, right? What's your perspective on that? And I guess how end time prophecy also plays into how it says that this is going to happen.
I think by 2030, we're gonna see it's gonna be hectic. I mean, looking at what's happening now, and then looking at 5 years from now, if Donald Trump cannot run again, then who's gonna be the next president? When is his term up, in 2029, or is it 2000? Donald Trump.
And that's why I say United Nations 2030. I honestly think United Nations is going to take over by then. That's my personal, I think I'll be underneath order,
Yeah, I think first and foremost, like you said, I have to take care of my family and get them out of harm's way. And the reason why I left in 2022 is that with 9 kids and going to the grocery store, and I started saying, man, I mean, things are getting expensive here. I said, and the bills keep coming. The car insurance is crazy. The car notes crazy. The gasoline prices is crazy. The student loans, all this stuff. I said, man, America is kicking my behind, and I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die running on the hamster wheel here. I'm not gonna be able to enjoy my kids and my wife because I'm hustling all the time to try to make ends meet in America. And I used to tell my wife, she used to say, I gotta go to Walmart tomorrow. I said, no, don't go to Walmart. I was like, because when she go to Walmart and she take the debit card, I know she's spending $200-$300 because she sees stuff for the kids. They got stuff on sale for the kids. They got the underwear and socks and clothes too. You can get this and that. And now they got food too. So Walmart is not a place that I love because when you go there, it's everything there you can decide to get. And so I had to realize that in the way things are headed, I said, what if I lose my job? What if I lose my job? I don't have no money. How can I feed everybody? Yeah. And I started thinking to myself, well, if I'm not in a position where I can feed myself, because in Detroit, there's no farms. There's no farms in Detroit, nowhere. Yeah. If people lose their job in Detroit, either they're going to sell their plasma or their blood, or they're going to hustle drugs, or they're going to sell their Xanaxes and Valiums and their Norcos and Percocets and all these Medicaid. They're going to start selling it, or they're going to sell their body, or they're just going to rob and steal. I said, no, I can't be here when these things start to happen to myself and others. I said, because I told my wife, I said, what if I lost my job? Just I got fired because somebody, didn't like me, what I had to say. They lied on me. They haven't, got fired. Now what? And I said that this is a not a good situation. And I constantly thought about that. And I've said that we need to get to the continent. At least on the continent, we can at least work on getting land, learning how to farm the land, learning how to get with other Hebrews and other locals that can help us start a community to where we can live off the land. The same thing that I used to see in the videos of people living off the land in Africa. I said, man, I gotta get there somehow, because there's no way that if the dollar crashes and BRICS takes over, or a new world order or whatever, how are we going to survive this in America when we don't have no farms here? It gets cold in the wintertime, even in South Carolina, even North Carolina, even in Georgia, it gets cold. So how can you farm when it's cold outside? You go to the grocery store. And so I said, so we're going to have to, first and foremost, try to save ourselves. But at the same token, it's only going to be easier if we do it together, because the Bible says that we're supposed to come together. But right now, it seems that as a lot of us are asleep and don't want to come together because they don't feel like they need to leave, and like you said, the Most High is going to gather us. Okay, you can wait for the Most High to gather you, but I see the signs already, and I need to move. I need to start getting to the continent and making moves and connections and preparing and planning for these things, so I can not go back to America. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at right now. And 2030, I think by then, minimum there, maximum maybe 2030, 2035, 2040. I don't know. I just think that every year that goes by, it's getting more critical in America.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
John, you have any final thoughts or anything? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
I mean, what was I gonna say? Daily, it seems like, they like kind of what you mentioned about your daughter saying on social media. It's like it used to be a happy place, but it's now so it's, first of all, I think it's just a major distraction, but it just shows so much like negativity, and people just feed into like a loop of that. But things are not good over here, as I think about, like, when we were in Kenya, one of the questions I asked, I was like, yo, so what's monthly rent? And they were like $400 or $500. I'm like, $400 or $500? Do you know how much like a 2-3 bedroom in Atlanta is? It's like $1,500, if that. And
$1,500. You can't get no 2-bedroom nowhere for $1,500.
Okay, maybe closer to $2,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
$2,000.
I was in the hood. Okay.
Government housing.
2-bedroom though.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Look, I was in the car in South Africa with a guy from the Venda tribe, and he said, Ron, he said, are there rats? He said, are there rats in America? I said, yeah, there are rats in America. And so I said, I called an Israelite. He lived in Brooklyn, and I put him on speaker. I said, hey man, I said, you're in Brooklyn, right? He said, yeah. He said, I said, are there rats in America? He said, Ron, what kind of question is that? And the South African guy heard me. He's like, Ron, are you serious? You asked me that question? Are you crazy? What's wrong with you? He said, yeah, there's rats in America. He said, I'm in Brooklyn. He said, I got rats in my place. Mice. I said, yeah, we see a lot. And I said, how much do you pay a month for your place? He said, $2,000. And I said, how many bedrooms you got? He said, 2 bedrooms. Why? And the South African guy said, 2 bedrooms for $2,000?
Crazy.
And he looked at me. He said, man, you guys got to get out of there. And it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
People are paying $2,000 for a 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
No.
I look
And this week, $7-8 for a dozen eggs.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it definitely.
I look at a lot of Africans kind of crazy when they're talking about wanting to move over here. I'm like, y'all, like, okay, you trade in a certain amount you think you're making for all your peace, your spirituality. Like, it's literally a selling of your soul, low key, to move over here. So make your money and just go back.
Yeah, for real.
You
Because
know,
the thing is like, I think going over there, they have a perspective of us like, oh, they're just living in pomp and just amazingness.
It's Atlantis
and
to
then
'em.
us over here, we have a perspective of us like, it's desolate over there in the continent. It's like, no, not at all. It's bountiful. Like, we had never had better food than when we had in Kenya. So fresh. And it was like, paying $5-10 for a fresh meal. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I got sick both times I came back from Kenya, like sick for like a couple of days or a week, and it's real irritating because you just can tell how the pollution, the environment is just constantly, plaguing the body,
Yeah.
So, but Ron, yo, look, I can rap with you for hours, man. But I get
just to add to what she said, I got 50 eggs for $5. 50 eggs for $5.
No, 50 for $5.
Oh my God.
It's nuts.
They were obviously natural, organic, the best eggs in the world.
Yeah.
These are not like GMO eggs.
And they were raised probably healthily,
Yeah.
Not steroided.
You can go still see the chicken probably.
Yeah. That's mad. Yeah, see, look. I'm buying my gold and silver, and I think one thing that's really good for people to know is gold was at 1,900 January 2023. It's literally at 2,900, about to hit 3,000. Today.
Yeah.
So it's that store value assets. A lot of these banks and big companies are buying gold in droves because they understand the crash is coming. You know. So,
yeah. But Ron, it was really a blessing, man. Being able to virtually meet you. Hopefully next time,
we'll come to South Africa. Yeah.
For real.
Most definitely, man. Could you, just drop your, or tell your information, tell the people how to find you, how to reach you, your website, just what you have going on, what new projects you might be working on.
Yeah. So, I got the Negronetwork.com site that I have a lot of my Zoom conferences on and things of that nature. And then I got H2MTV.com where I have all my content, movies and documentaries and series and teachings that I did, videos. And then I have we have 2 groups in Africa, in South Africa and Botswana, that were building community, buying land, developing the land, and then working together to start businesses as a collective, not just one person, but a collective of diasporans. And then, and if you want to be a part of any of these things that I got going on, you can email me at HebrewsToNegroes@yahoo.com. HebrewsToNegroes@yahoo.com. That's the best way to reach me. And then I have the YouTube channel that they let me have back. It's a backup channel, H2N TV, aka Moses Levi. But for the most part,
hey Ron, Ron.
Yeah.
Real quick. The Prince of Power of the Air, is messing with the Wi-Fi a little bit. Just repeat
Yes.
the websites and contact information one more time, because as I tried to type them out, it said connection. So
yeah,
one
it's
more time.
the Negro Network.com, THENEGRO network.com. And then I have H2MTV.com. And then I have a website called Support Hebrews to Negroes. So just like Candace Owens has her own website to support her and keep her independent, I have a support Hebrews to Negroes.com. And it's spelled just like the book. And this is where people can go to and support Hebrews to Negroes.com. And I can text it to you. And then other than that, they can email me at Hebrews to Negroes at yahoo.com. And
all right,
get a hold
and
of
me. And that's number 2 or TO?
No, TO.
Got it.
The only thing that has the number 2, the only thing that has the number 2 is H2MTV.com.
Got it. All right, cool, man. Well, look, man, we appreciate you, sharing your information with us, to our platform, man. It was a blessing, having this conversation and getting to meet you. Y'all got anything? What's up?
Yeah, no, same things. Thank you so much for joining. It's been amazing. You've added a lot of context to our ongoing conversation and discussion about how we want to move in the future. So
Most definitely.
Thank you for that.
Most definitely. Yeah. Hopefully get to rap, some more, soon. Even, hopefully offline as well. All the viewers, make sure, you like, comment, share, subscribe. If you do want to pour into, Kingdom Outkasts, our Cash App is Kingdom Outcast Pod on a Cash App. And, definitely check out, Brother Ron's websites here and support what he has going on. And, we need to unite like we've been talking about. We need to start pouring into each other, figuring out how to move and such. I know one person commented that you often have webinars where you talk about these things too.
Yes.
So, all right. You got anything else you want to share, or are you good?
No, are you cool with Michael, St. Michael, Prince Michael, like the seer, the guy that is linked up with the Kikuyus in Kenya?
I've actually heard of him, but no, I don't. I know a couple of people in the Kikuyu who kind of showed me around, but I would definitely like to learn, who he is.
Okay. All right. So, no, I think I'm good. I think we covered everything. Whenever we go back to Africa, if you're in South Africa, let me know. But yeah, so that's about it. Thank you for having me. And it's good to see people like yourself that think like I think. Doing the podcast, doing the show, I think it's needed, and more people need to see the things that we were talking about. And it's sad that shadow banning and people that should see the videos that we're doing. YouTube has these algorithms and AIs that you got good content, but then it's not hitting thousands upon thousands of people. I don't know how they do it, but hopefully this video gets some numbers and people see it and they comment and they get something out of it, because they need to hear these kind of discussions happening, and then what they can do. So yeah.
No, for sure, man. Agree with all of that. So the Most High is gonna, have, whoever's supposed to hear this, they'll hear it. Most High knows he wants to wake up. So appreciate that, man. Well,
I might go to Rumble. I might try Rumble because I don't know, because YouTube, you can put a video out and you can have a bomb topic or a headliner and a good thumbnail, and you'll be thinking like it's gonna at least hit 1,000. It doesn't, and for me, be like 300 views, and I'm like, these guys are just putting the clamps on me, putting the clamps on my channel. So it's like, what do? You start directing people to Rumble, or you just tell people to go to H2N TV, but everything that I do is not always on H2N TV. So, it is tough. And in a minute, I'm gonna start telling people, go to Rumble and follow me there, because they don't have all the censorship and the shadow banning that you would get on YouTube. And it's sad that we have to do that, but we got to let people know, like, look, go here, because if you guys not getting the video notifications, because YouTube don't want you to see the video.
Yeah. No, I've actually heard that about Rumble. I've come across some content on there as well, so it's definitely something to look into for sure. Because they've got the AI, whatever, they got the trigger words, all that just engraved into these websites probably. So appreciate you, man. Outro us.
Well, this has been Kingdom Outcast Podcast, podcasting the truth of the way. We've had our extremely special guest, Ron Dalton Jr. here, who blessed us with tons of information. And, man, we just had a blessed conversation. So y'all stay blessed, stay healthy, stay prayed up. Shalom, everybody.
Shalom. Kingdom Outcast.
Peace.
And then in stream?
Yep.
All right, cool. You do it. I don't want to mess it up.
You can't.